Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Lexi out here, and it's Tuesday, and we are reveling in a double victory. Double W's. Yes, double W's. Woo! Yeah. That was awesome. I was a little worried about the 905 getting their part of it at the end of their game, but Raptors made sure they got theirs, which was awesome. Big time play by Chris Boucher in the fourth quarter. He was it's weird because 2 games ago, I said Chris is like being a leader for this team right now. And it's true. And it's very interesting. The last 4 games for Chris Boucher, this is a really interesting stat. I just saw it on Blue Skies on Blake Murphy's account. This is what Blake Murphy's saying right here. And he's saying he doesn't like single game bench per minute stat, but for fun, Chris Boucher's 4-game stretch is the best stretch of bench play in the NBA this season and in Raptors franchise history, with a minimum of 15 minutes per game. Less elite, but still impressive, with lower minutes per game threshold. So really what Chris is doing right now is the most fortified short bench minutes in the history of the NBA ever in the last 4 games. Because if you think about it, everything he's done for the most part in the last 4 games has been successful. Almost every 3 he's taken. Almost every rebound he's gone and took down. The last night he was attacking the rim and throwing it down. That dude is a badass, man. He's having the best birthday week ever. He had the best week of his career, and it's awesome. It was so awesome to see. Chris, you keep going, man. I knew this at the beginning of the year. For some reason, I looked at Chris, and I said, his vibe's different right now, man. The first thing I read of him when I saw his vibe was like, this dude's in a very confident place where he understands things better than ever in his entire life. Whether it's reckoning with his past and his childhood and his young adulthood and to now in his path of his life, whether it's reckoning with the role that he is as an NBA player in this league and what he's supposed to be and grow into as a player. He's very comfortable because he understands it all. He's in the flow of life. This is something anybody could get into, what Chris is doing right now. You know what you have to do? You have to stay present. You have to stay in the moment. And you need to also understand that life comes at you in a flow. And in some ways, we fight that flow unconsciously. We don't even realize it sometimes. But Chris is in tune with it. And he kind of is moving and grooving with it and just flowing through the flow of life right now. And when you see somebody who's in that state, you're like, wow. It's an amazing thing. I'm so happy for him. The thing is, this has not been happening just this week. He's been in this flow of life since the beginning of the season. I've seen it on him. And it's just been building to this point that this week happened like this on his birthday week. But yeah, Chris having the best week ever of his entire career right now. And it culminated in a big win over his former team that he started his NBA career with. And in a big time. Holy cow. Didn't do anything the whole game. And in the fourth quarter, stepped up and was just amazing. Wow. Well, we got to react to 2 games today. We got the Instagram stories. We got the classic card. We got so much to cover on the Raptor Freak channel today. In fact, I've got the brand new Tempo gear that has been released, all the pictures of it. And you know what? It's crazy. There's so much. I thought they would do just a couple things, but they have come out with a whole entire collection and line. And there's a lot. And in some ways, I want to look at it and react with you guys looking at it today. That may be one of the fun things we do today. Of course, it's an even day, so we can do a scout of the day today also. So let's get into it, Raptor Freaks. Reaction stream, double size. And also, it probably will be a Lexathon, knowing how we like to talk on days after something like what happened last night with Golden State. That's right. Let's see what Trevor's saying first. We'll get into it, and we'll see where we go from there. Trevor's saying, you don't have to fight against wicked people. Don't waste your energy. Their own plotting, scheming, and lies will bring them down. Wow. You know, people like to talk about karma. People like to talk about balances of forces in the world. Everything kind of works out the way it's supposed to. It evens out. And this is so true. This is one of the biggest things that will mess you up in your own life, and you don't need to, is you stoop to other people's level and you try and get revenge and you screw up your own life. If somebody is wicked and evil, like Trevor's saying, you go ahead and let them go and do that on their own, but don't match their energy, because you bring them yourself down to their level. And in some ways, you're just as bad as them. So, yeah, this is very smart. In some ways, it's like ignore it, get away from it, get away from toxic if you can, and allow toxic to self-destruct on its own. It's somewhere else. And you know what? The other part about karma and about things coming around is, you don't get to see the thing come around for that person. Just know in your heart somewhere that it will. But people are not supposed to get the privilege of seeing people get their comeuppance, usually, unless it's very publicly in some way, something like that. But either way, Trevor, thank you for the words of wisdom. Commissioner Jay, I appreciate you as the commissioner of fun of this channel. You do such a good job. I'll say that. Yeah, Trevor's saying Raptors win and 905 win. What a beautiful night of basketball. Yeah, double victory. I was really kind of worried about the 905 for a little bit there. They had a good lead midway through the fourth quarter, but the Oklahoma City Blue started scrapping things together, and the Raptors 905 got a little bit stagnant in around the 5-minute mark of the fourth quarter. But and they let them come back because they were up by 10 double digits in the middle of the fourth quarter. But the game came within reach of like a 3, could have tied the game and put it in overtime if the Blue had hit one at a certain point. But, well, Coach Jones is happy. The 905s showed some real closing out kind of stuff and did a good job and held them off and won. And now the Raptors 905 have a very much of a winning record, 4-2, and they are on their way in the regular season of the G League to being hopefully a playoff team and making some noise this year. I know that the Showcase Cup's part of the season was a dismal failure, but this G League's regular season so far has been a success, and we need to keep going. 4-game win streak for the Raptors 905 right now. You got to love that, man. You got to love that, right? Don't you? Come on now. You got to – oh, it's a 3-game win streak. Sorry. And actually, I'm wrong with the record. They are actually 5-2 right now. They're 5-2 with a 3-game win streak. So 5-2, that's a winning record. That's a winning record. Raptors winning somewhere right now, y'all. Trevor's saying that Chris got the win and the chain. Best player in the fourth quarter. Best player in the game, honestly. He is my player of the game, Chris Boucher, once again. Yeah, he did get the chain after the game. I think he's gotten it already this season once. So this will be the second time Chris got the chain. Number one star of the game, Chris Boucher. This is the 3rd game in a row that I've made Chris the number one star of the game. This is the 4th game in a row where he's been either the first or the second star. So you tell me he's not vibing. He's been the number one star for our team off the bench in all 4 games. And the last 3 games, he's been my number one star. Yeah, let's just talk about Chris for a second here. Chris Boucher is an amazing athlete. There was a couple plays in this game that wowed everybody. I think that dunk that he did was fantastic. That dunk should be in the highlights for the top 10 for NBA today. That dunk is like really crazy power. He came and he it was a G League kind of dunk from when he was in the G League. Like he used to do stuff like that all the time. That nasty, nasty dunk that he threw down in the game last night. He used to do that on the regular when he was the man in 905. And it's cool to see that show up every once in a while. But Chris had a little bit of extra last night. He did. And in some ways, he really wanted to win this game last night for a few reasons. I mean, he talked about it after the game that, we've been working so hard and not getting any of the payoff. Well, it was nice to get the payoff right now. And that we need these wins. Like I've said to Raptor Freaks in the last week or so, they need these wins, a win every once in a while for their own spirits. Like for their own spirits and how they feel about themselves and how they feel about things. So it's very important for the Raptors to continue to try and win for the rest of the season and collect as many wins as they can possibly get within their own ability. So yeah, 9-31. We got our 9th win last night. And it's a nice little win over it feels good when we beat Golden State. It's reminiscent of the championship. It's also I went to a game a couple of years ago with Steve during the pandemic when things were kind of still not totally open, where it was very like not very many fans there, and half the Warriors team didn't show up because of the crossing the border, and we beat the crap out of the Warriors in that game too. And so there's a little bit of a history of the Raptors beating the Warriors even in recent years, even when we've been bad. Even when we've been bad. I'm really worried about the Warriors for them. Like, they are not a good team. I'm shocked at how much they have, they're a 500 team right now. I get it. They started super hot and were like number one in the West in the beginning of the season, and they plummeted to, now below 500 after losing to us last night. Steve Kerr, very kind of down. I mean, he's having a really bad week. His house burned down, or the childhood house that he grew up in burned down. And now his team is in a really dire situation where the fans are really, really feeling sad because they just lost the Raptors. And also they know that this team is going in not going anywhere in a good direction right now. Steph Curry is going to go off in the sunset at some point, Draymond Green as well. And this young crop of Warriors that they keep trying to bring up and around in this team are just not working out in different ways or fitting with each other. And it's just not been working. The two things that really helped the Raptors last night in this game were that we were the bigger team for once last night. We really were the bigger team. And Jakob and Scotty were the big bullies in the court that could do anything they want. They were the top dogs. And in some ways, in most matchups in the NBA, it's either sometimes the other team has the top dog, like Zach Edey in Memphis when we played them, or it's an equal matchup where Jakob kind of cancels out the other guy on the other side. But this time, last night, we had a completely the top dog big down low, and it absolutely was a key to us winning the game last night. The other factor on the down low that helped us win this game was besides Curry and Buddy Hield and a few guys, they have like 4 guys they play right now on Golden State's rotation. Well, partly because they have some injuries right now that are very young. They're players that don't have a lot of NBA experience, like Moses Moody and Davis and let's see, Lindy Waters. These guys make a lot of the same kind of young mistakes the Raptors would. So in some ways, even with Curry out there and all of his experience, the Warriors were a little bit like on an even keel with us with experience and closing the game and some other than Curry being a factor. But then again, Curry couldn't be that factor enough to do something, and Chris Boucher was more of a factor in the fourth quarter. Yeah, Chris was awesome. 7 of 9 shooting. 3 of 5 from 3, 1 of 2 at the free throw line, 4 offensive rebounds. There was that one putback he did after Scotty's miss that everybody was like saying, oh, was that FIBA rules where he hit it off while it was on top of the cylinder? They went back and looked, and Matt Devlin said, no, it just came off the cylinder. That was such an explosive putback. And between Chris and Oshai at the rim last night, holy cow, those guys are crazy athletic or just very interesting, like athletes in some ways. Like Chris is a very interesting athlete with his body and his skills. And Oshai is just a freakishly good athlete. And some of the stuff that they were doing around the rim last night was so fun to see. 4 offensive rebounds for Chris, 7 altogether, 2 assists, 1 block, a +1 with 18 points in 22 minutes. And 17 of those points were in the fourth quarter. See, you don't even have to do anything the whole game. If you can be so good in one quarter at the end and win the game for you, you'll get the player of the game, and you'll get the interview after the game with Savannah Hamilton, and you'll get the kudos from Drake while you're on live TV at the end of it. And that was so cool to some people that they put it on the NBA highlights reel on the NBA YouTube channel, that they actually included Chris Boucher's post-game interview because Drake was involved in it. Yeah, it was really cool to see Chris do this. And man, he really is weird. Like he's turned into a leader on the down low. in some ways the most unpredictable. Like, it wasn't predicted that he'd ever be a leader like this, is what I'm basically saying. Think about it. Think about it. We've been talking about wanting one of the barbecue to take over in the fourth quarter and carry us to the victory. Did we expect Chris Boucher to do it? No. No, we did not. And this game happened that way last night. And in some ways it's a really cool thing, because it's a weird thing, because Chris gave up on the dream of being that guy and taking over and being such a scorer. Like, he wanted to be Kevin Durant, and he gave up on that after Boxing Day in Cleveland a few years ago, when he realized being the man wasn't all cracked up to be, because it's very pressurized, and you get so much grief and very little praise. Sometimes you do get praise and you do get all the attention, but you get so much grief and criticism and spotlight and people paying attention to you, that it's tough. And he realized some things. He said, all right, maybe I will be all right being a role player off the bench and just doing what I do bread and butter wise. Well, in some ways, Chris, you kind of relived your Kevin Durant dream of being more like Kevin Durant and being the man and just taking over and scoring the game, because you closed out a game and won the game like you were a superstar last night. You did. It's funny because you did what I was asking Scotty to do. You did. You did. You're bona fide. Scotty said straight up after the game, Chris won this game for us. Scotty said that straight up after the game. He said, Chris won this game for us. He's right. My second star of the game for last night's game is Jakob. Jakob was interesting. As I said just a little bit ago, he was the most dominant big man in this game last night. The one that kind of was the big alpha, as far as like, I'm the biggest guy who's going to get a lot of the rebounds. I'm going to be like the biggest, strongest person around to like that'll push other people around and just kind of be the person that's in charge. And Scotty was kind of the second after that, because their center on the other side is so young, and he was undersized too. Trey Jackson Davis, he may be a good player, but he can be. He's part of the problem for what's going on with the Warriors right now. Without Draymond, that team has nothing up front. And in some ways, Draymond's undersized, and he can't really play center either. I think it's very suspicious that Draymond didn't play last night. He's such an outspoken kind of jerk. And, he said a lot of bad things about Toronto at different times. And, he actually has missed a lot of the games coming to Toronto since 2020. Like, I try to think of how many times Draymond has actually showed up and played in the city of Toronto in the last few years. And it's always fishy, because two things happen. Draymond doesn't play, and he doesn't even show up. Like, he wasn't even on the bench last night. Like, I have a feeling that he's a weird dude that like is really kind of like weird about Canada. And I feel like sometimes he's like, well, I just don't want to go to Canada, Coach Kerr. All right, Draymond, you stay home. You stay home. That's fine. Yeah, I didn't go last time, so why would I go this time? Because, well, you don't help your team win when you don't show up to play in the game. So, yeah, that was pretty interesting. Jakob Poeltl, 6 of 11 from the field, 1 of 2 at the free throw line. Now, I noticed something last night with the free throw. The first free throw that Jakob shot last night gave away what he's doing wrong right now. The thing that screwed him up in the game the other day, where we could have won if they just made their free throws. He's pushing forward again. Like, the thing that's always messed up Jakob Poeltl's free throws is he doesn't put the ball up when he pushes his arm in the free throw motion. And I guess he went back to old bad habits with his free throws, because he started pushing it towards the front of the rim again. Now, you corrected it in the 2 free throws you shot last night. The first free throw you shot, you pushed it straight, and it kind of didn't have any arc, and it hit and rolled off the rim and off. The second shot, you adjusted, and you pushed it up. And you push it up, so when you put it up, it comes down. It has a easier percentage of going in, because the angle of the ball coming towards the hoop is at a more conducive angle for the ball to go through the net. That's a big, big thing for all shooters of all kinds, whether it's 3-pointers or regular shots or free throws, is you've got to loft the ball up with an arc that goes up in the air and comes down. And everybody who has flat arcs or shots, like Chris Boucher did with his 3-point shot back in the day, well, you're not going to shoot as well, because you're limited in the percentage that what your shot will go through the hoop because you're shooting it straight at the rim. Chris used to do this with his three. His shot was very like flat and it went towards the rim. And that's why he missed more back then than he does now. It's funny. Chris, after the game, was talking about making that 3-pointer over Andrew Wiggins late. He said, I shot that ball to the moon to make it over him. Because it's true. If you go back and look at the highlight, the three he made over Andrew was lofted like at a very high angle, and it went up in the air like really, really high, but it came down and went through the net. It was fantastic. Yeah, Yak was awesome, man. 5 offensive rebounds for Yak also, 13 rebounds altogether, 2 assists, a 1 block, a plus 14, the highest plus minus on the Raptors with 13 points in 35 minutes. Double-double, 13 and 13 for Jakob Poeltl. And Darko, once again, after the game, going on about how Jakob does so many of the little things to help the Raptors that is so important and essential, and that he is absolutely a valuable player for this team that we need. And yeah, I love it. The double-double, the domination, the highest plus minus. That's a giveaway right there that he was a factor at being the biggest big on the court last night. The biggest big was Jakob Poeltl. My third star of the game is Scotty Barnes. Scotty Barnes, I would have given him a second or a first star if he had maybe gotten maybe a triple-double or scored a bit more. The saga of Scotty becoming a superstar continues. A new chapter was written last night. Scotty, very aggressive in the middle of the game and at different times with taking his own shot, coming down low and shooting big bully shots in the post and turning around, stuff like that. Very, very aggressive with that. We saw Scotty mixing it up with talking with Dennis last night. Of course, Dennis, his former teammate. We know Dennis likes to talk trash. It's a friendly rivalry. There's no hate there. But Scotty really blocked the hell out of Dennis at one point and really stared him down. And Scotty also, on the down low last night, was battling with Steph Curry. I'm serious. You know, he's a hero to Scott. And in some ways, like Grady getting the assignment to guard Steph at the beginning of the game, it's a little starstruck the Raptors can get playing a legend like Stephon Curry. But Scotty, in some ways, was keeping score. Now, at the beginning of the fourth quarter, they showed a graphic, and both Scotty and Steph had 23 points at the beginning of the fourth quarter. And I was hoping that, well, this is a stage set for Scotty to write a story where he's going to outplay Steph Curry, his hero, and outscore him in the fourth and help the Raptors get the win. Well, Scotty didn't score any points in the fourth quarter last night. And it sucks because he just kind of disappeared. But he don't get it twisted. He did so many different things to help them win in that fourth quarter, whether it's rebounding, passing, defense, steals, whatever. Chris stepped up and took that role that we wanted Scotty to take, and he made sure it happened. And in some ways, Chris doing it's not like Chris has experience doing it too much. It's that he's seen people like Pascal and Fred and different people do it in the past. And it was kind of like he was trying to do it all of a sudden. He was super successful at doing it too. But yeah, Scotty could have been a little bit better. He maybe would have been a higher star, but he wasn't bad. He was extremely good the whole entire game. He was a true leader. He's showing that fight of the verses, you know, in some ways, like, I don't know if they are listening to me, but the fact that Scotty is taking it more upon himself to say, I'm going to be the superstar on the court and I'm going to have superstar numbers that match the superstar on the other side and try and outplay them. It's happening. 40 minutes for Scott, 9 of 21 from the field, 1 of 4 from 3, 4 of 6 at the free throw line, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, 3 turnovers, a plus 12 with 23 points in 40 minutes. Scotty was the second highest plus minus on the team and also the second biggest person on the court last night. I'm sick of people saying that Scotty is 6'7". Look at that man on the court. Look at that man compared to the center that was played by the Warriors last night. He's bigger than their center. So how the hell are you going to tell me Scotty Barnes is 6'7" NBA with your stats and your rosters on ESPN? That man is closer to 7 foot than he is 6'7". I'm going to say that right now. And don't let the optical illusion of his hair fool you. It's not just that. He is that tall. You can see the man, the way he's moving on the court and how big he is. Yeah, Scotty was awesome. He showed a real fight. He showed a real The other thing that's really cool about this is Scotty's a nerd, right? Y'all know this, right? Scotty's a nerd for basketball. He's a nerd for understanding schemes and play sets and tendencies and matchups with people and stuff. In fact, I wish he would utilize the information that he's a nerd about more and really execute on it in the court. But he's a nerd about that. And in some ways, the one of the things we saw last night that we need to understand about the game was we saw Darko's play action system run without real inhibition. Like usually we play a team that's either very tall or long, that's bigger than us, or we play a team that's super aggressive on defense that is just really annoying and deflecting and jumping in the middle of our scheme. Now, with the Warriors last night in the state that they're in right now, being a little bit just as experienced as us, being smaller than us, and to be quite honest and frank, being lazy, the Warriors, the way they play defense, allowed the Raptors to play Darko's offensive play sets unhindered, so you could actually see how they work, guys. Some of the problems we've had in the last month or so have been that the other teams have had really aggressive defense and scouted us well and been coached well, and they've really absolutely stymied what we've tried to do with Darko and his system. But when you see it with a weak ass defense, a team that's really not doing things right, they're not trying things, you can see how it works. And the thing that you saw in the first half last night was a very unselfish team that moves the ball in very, very cool ways. Like, they have a protocol and a logic to it. Move the ball towards the basket and passing around. There's certain ways where you get the open passing lanes. There's certain passes you should look for in certain places where people should be. And you move around, you do screens off each other, and you work it and as far in as you can. When it gets to Jakob, well, maybe Jakob's dumping it off to Scott, and Scott is getting a dunk all of a sudden. They really work to getting the highest percentage shot and the best shot. And the crazy thing is most teams don't do this way because they're selfish. And somebody in the middle of that passing scheme will shoot the shot when they're not supposed to, and they don't make the extra passes that go to the very, very, very best high percentage shot, which is as close to the rim as possible. So if you were watching real closely in the first half and in the second half last night, there were a lot of plays, and it's just like what I was saying. It's like a Plinko game on Price is Right. You bring the ball over on offense with Darko's system, and you move the ball around, and you try and organically generate an open shot for somebody, whether it's Grady getting a quick pass and a quick release, whether it's somebody attacking the rim and getting a screen pass, whether it's, Scotty getting the ball in the post and turning around and shooting a little mid-range over somebody. There's a protocol to how they pass it around and move around with each other. And they have to understand and recognize when the best shot is and when to continue to pass it. And they're doing a really good job with this. They're totally unselfish. You can see what I'm talking about. And it really is like a Plinko game because the defense will kind of dictate where the walls are that you kind of got to avoid and run around and to get to this place, And then this guy gets this open shot, this three, finally over here, Oshai in the corner, boom, for three as it moves around. So does that make sense? And in some ways, like we've talked recently, the defense for the Raptors is going to come later with personnel and a rededication to being big and rebounding and defense. The offense, in some ways, is something that we need to start cultivating and getting the guys used to more and more and more and more by practicing it. And you can see how they practiced it last night. Right there. Yeah, Scotty loves it too. In some ways, that's what I'm saying. He's such a nerd about basketball theory and ideas and what to do on the court that in some ways he likes the system that Darko does, even if he's not getting the bulk of the shots. He just likes to be a part of the cog of the machine and helping to move the ball around and get the best shot. It's a game to them. I'm sure it is, all of them. And they enjoy it. It's part of their philosophy as far as like we are all, like Scotty said this repeatedly a couple times in the post game. He said, we love each other. We all love each other on this team. And our success, each other's success are all of our success. And they really are all for one and one for all. And that is not easy to get that environment on an NBA team, even with a winning team that has very talented top players. Think about this. You think the Clippers have an all for one or one for all kind of attitude, in LA, even though they're probably a pretty good team or better team than us? No, they don't. And that's what I'm saying. It's very, very interesting. That all for one, and we all love each other's stuff. Scotty's a leader, and it's just how it is. It's just how it is. All right, let's keep going with the stars. Ochai Agbaji is my 4-star. Like I said, he was insane. Like going to the rim, like those blocks that he had at the rim last night were amazing. This dude is such an athlete. He's so fun to watch in some ways. And Darko did something really smart last night. He played Davion Mitchell on Steph Curry for a bulk of the game, and Davion did a fantastic job. In fact, Emmanuel, you sitting out last night was actually really, really good. It was like if we sat quickly and they sat Draymond, well, their sit out really, really hurt them. And our sit out actually benefited us in a weird, strange way because we got Davion Mitchell guarding Steph Curry for most of the game. And he absolutely loves playing Steph Curry. You can tell. Absolutely loves playing Steph Curry. But late in the game, Darko noted after the game that he switched Davion off of Steph and he put Ochai to close the game in the fourth quarter on Steph Curry. And that was a really, really smart decision by Darko to switch up the defensive feel on Curry in crunch time. You're used to having Mitchell hound you for the whole game, and he's hounding you this way, maybe even tiring you out because he's dogging you so bad. And then we switch a longer arm, bigger player on you who's just as good defensively in some ways. Yeah, that will hurt Steph Curry's ability to be crunch time Steph Curry and take home the game in a victory for the Warriors. A fantastic defensive substitution assignment by Darko. And in some ways that shows this guy is a coach and he knows what he's doing, that he did that. But Ochai was fantastic. 25 minutes, 5 of 8 from the field, 2 of 5 from 3, 3 rebounds, 2 blocks, a +5 with 12 points in 25 minutes. It's not even totally about the points. I mean, the threes are key here and there. It's about that defense last night, man. And I'll give an honorable mention to Davion Mitchell on this too, because he didn't score, but he had a factor in the game last night. He definitely had a factor in the game last night. My last star of the game is Jamal Shead, y'all. Shead has been very solid since a bad game in New York. He's been fantastic in some ways. Little small doses. 18 minutes for Jamal. 3 of 6 from the field goal. 3 of 4 from 3. In fact, the first 2 shots he took last night were so confident and right in a row, 2 threes right in a row. And his teammates were looking for him in that spot. And he just knew, and he was taking it. And, man, Shead, you keep doing that, man. You're going to get to play. You may not be just a backup point guard. Seriously. If you can develop your offense in minutes per game, you could be more than just a backup in this league. I'm telling you right now, Shed, you keep going. 3 of 4 from 3, as I said, 1 rebound, 2 assists, 1 turnover, a +2 with 9 points for Jamal Shead. Not a double-digit guy, but still, I felt like he deserved one of the 5 stars. So, yeah, a fantastic effort by the Raptors all around. I'll give an honorable mention to Davion Mitchell for his incredible defense and what he did on Steph Curry, because he wasn't a factor in this game. And I think that it's a weird thing because Darko only plays 10 guys a game. We saw that Jacoby was out of the rotation last night. And in some ways, that's just going to happen. He's got to make sacrifices. Emmanuel's out, so Davion jumps in the starting lineup. He still wants to play Shed. He has to play Bruce. You know, Chris, obviously, he's got to keep playing Chris. So there's going to be a little bit of an odd man out kind of thing. And Jacoby Walter just happened to be that one last night. It's just how it is. You know, it's just how it is. I mean, we did not get to see Eugene Omoruyi make his Raptors debut last night, unfortunately. Jamison Battle did not get in the game either. And that's kind of stupid in some ways because, well, it's not stupid. I don't know. Was he dressed last night? I didn't even notice. Was he wearing a uniform to play? Because we can't waste his G League game, his two-way games if we did and not play him. So I don't know if he's not going to play for sure. Don't dress him is what I'm saying about Battle. Seriously, don't dress him because he doesn't have that many games eligible left. And this is the thing Raptors fans need to realize. That if you dress for the game, it counts as one of your games for two-way, even if you don't play. So don't dress him anymore, Raptors, if you're going to. There you go. All right, let's see what's going on. More in the chat. My 5 stars of the game right there. Monique is good morning, Raptor Free Crew. Happy to bring home both wins. 2 words. You can't be in 2 places in the same place. I know you brought home the win from the Scotiabank Arena, and that's the one I appreciate you for there, Monique, but you weren't in Oklahoma City. That's a long trip. Let's see. Chris Boucher got me beaming with joy, and so does Drew Jones. Man, oh man, about last night. Yeah, I'm glad that we finally got the double W victory. In some ways, this is good. We've had such a rough season, and having 2 wins on the same night was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And the 905 did a good job of holding off the Blue, even though the Blue were trying to win this at the end. No Carlson playing in the game. I guess he was with the big team and on the Thunder, not with the Blue last night. Trevor J. saying SGA is eligible for a $300 million supermax this summer, $81 million salary in 2031. Well, that's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. Yeah, the Oklahoma City fans in the G League YouTube chat were very gracious and nice, talking at the end of the game. Of course, the G League game started an hour after the Raptors game. Well, not totally an hour. But it was overlapping a little bit over, so you could actually watch the end of the G League game after the Raptors game got over, which was nice. Yeah, that's a lot of money. And basically, Thunder fans were saying to us that they like the Raptors. They think that we're on the rise. And we were telling the Thunder fans, we hope you win the championship and SGA gets the MVP. So there's a lot of love between Thunder Nation and Raptor Nation with the Canadian ties. And they respect us. They think that our team's pretty cool with the new young nucleus that we're building. And, we're on our way. You can see the promise, some of the things that are happening. As Isaac Campbell comes in and drops a Gagnon. I miss my friend Lon from the Kensington Variety VIP Club. That's a crazy show that's on this channel if you want to watch it, from 5 years ago. Gagnon. That's right. We got Gagnon last night. 2 Gagnon. Thank you, Isaac. Benevolent Isaac Campbell. Thank you for dropping a Gagnon in the chat today. I'm going to give you a dunk, Isaac, for Gagnon. I love it. You should have said it twice, though, because we got it twice. That's right. Smooth's here. Good to see you, Reggie. Really nice win. The Warriors are going through. Hang on. The Warriors are going through. Jumped really crazy there. The Warriors are going through it right now. Steph looked gassed out there. He's getting older. There's a lot of nostalgia and love for Toronto. Steph Curry has. I knew that there was. It's the kind of thing like where if you spend a part of your childhood and you live somewhere for a while, you're going to have feelings about it. And I know that he loved living in Toronto as a preteen, as a young teenager, because I was there. I seen him. Like, the stories have been coming out. Like, people always talk about this when the Warriors come to Toronto, about Steph being the son of Dell and being around the arena around the Vince Carter era. And, Vince reminiscing about it in clips, saying, I remember Steph and Seth running around and like being little gym rats, and always up in the flight deck up there shooting shots, and then coming down, they'd sneak down and come on the Raptors main court when it was closed and shoot around. That's when I saw them. I tell this story every once in a while. I guess I'll tell it again. When I worked at Air Canada Center as concessions, making Mr. Sub at Section 112, from 1999, when they built the Scotiabank Arena, the very first year that they opened it, I worked there for 5 years from then. And that was basically all of the Vince Carter, Matt Sundin era. And I'd go and sit before work. After I'd set up my stand, I'd make a bunch of subs and get my sub stand set up. I'd have time extra because I was really fast. And I did it on purpose so that I could go watch players shoot around before the public was coming into the building. This is like hours before the game. And the kids would be out there. Steph would be out there shooting when his dad was on the team. And I'd watch them, and I would be like, that kid is making NBA threes, and he looks like he's not even like 4 feet tall. It was really crazy. And it's like, it struck me in that moment, and I'll always remember this moment. That kid is going to be in the NBA one day. I didn't even know that was Del Curry's son. It was just 2 kids that looked like each other that are around the same age, and both of them were bombing. It wasn't just Steph, but one was a little bit better. You could tell. And yeah, so I like that memory because everybody puts the memories out of young Steph Curry as a child of a Raptor player. And I personally have those memories with my own 2 eyes, sitting in the arena in the stands, watching those 2 brothers shoot shots from when I worked there. It's so awesome. It's so cool. And I was right. So Lex is a scout. I was like, that kid right there who's hitting NBA threes and he's that tall, he's going to be in the NBA one day. Boy, was I right. He's a generational changing player that is a legacy player, but also, an icon, a legend. It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, Steph loves Toronto. You can tell. In his interviews, he talks about growing up here. He talks about watching his dad play for us. He talks about Vince Carter and what he means to him. There's a lot of love for Toronto with Steph Curry. And in some ways, he said he's never hated Toronto other than when we played him in the finals. He's always loved Toronto otherwise. There you go right there. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. All right, let's keep going. Reggie's saying the Raptors' defensive scheme was impressive on Buddy Hield. He was harassed all game, could not get going. Yeah, Buddy Hield could have. I was thinking about Buddy during the game last night. I was like, man, I'm so glad Buddy hasn't done jack shit this whole game, hardly. Like, he hit a couple threes, but they were in the middle of the game and kind of in the flow of just somebody's going to make threes for them at some point. Now, late in the game, he's when I was scared. We'll put a lot of attention on Curry, obviously, with switching Oshai onto him. But late in the game, Buddy Hield could get forgotten about, and that's where he's dangerous. He's definitely not filling the void that Klay Thompson left. And in some ways, I'm shocked at how bad Buddy Hield shot at times last night. He really didn't shoot well last night. We did a good job of guarding him. You're right, Reggie, because he only shot 3 for 13. He made 2 of 10 threes. And he had a shot at the end of the game that could have been huge and clutch for them, but he completely missed it. And thank God. Yeah, I was in some ways, while I was watching the game last night, Smooth, I was like, don't let Buddy Hield do jack shit. No, the less we hear his name called by Matt Devlin, the better. Seriously, because he is very dangerous. This is kind of fun to watch Dennis against us last night. Dennis was okay. I mean, he hit that weird bank shot 3 at one point. He was scoring. There was a little bit of jawing. Scotty was really funny with playing with Dennis. He wanted to play him, and he was posting on Dennis. And he blocked him. He did, there was a lot of weird, like, Dennis versus Scott energy on the court last night that was kind of fun and interesting to watch. Smooth saying, part of me wants to see Chris Boucher stay with the Raptors. Let him be part of the next wave of Toronto Raptors success. I want that too. I do. Somebody in the comments on the NBA highlights said Chris Boucher should be the Raptors' Udonis Haslem. I've said that before. I told Chris that when he was playing COD on Twitch last summer. I got in there, and Chris made me a moderator on his Twitch channel because I said this to him. Chris, you should be the Udonis Haslem for the Raptors organization. He's like, He doesn't really look at the comments or talk, but he kind of perked up a little bit when I said that. I don't know. I think that it's the opposite, though, unfortunately, because there's rumors. Somebody posted in the Facebook chat that last night at the Raptors game, there were scouts from the Grizzlies, the Nuggets, and another team, the Clippers, I think, or somebody, came to watch Chris Boucher probably. And that may be part of the reason why Chris is playing so crazy good right now, is because he's trying to entice other franchises to trade for him. And that could be possible. I mean, in some ways, this is true logic that he's at a peak right now, and maybe his trade value is higher than ever right this second. So I don't know. I sentimentally think that I want to do is what you're saying, but also in some way the rational part of me is saying, wow, well, let's think about the possibilities. Get on the phone, Bobby Webster, because what's the balance? Is it about your heart and sentimental attachment? That can mess you up with not doing good decisions for the future. But man, I really do love having Chris on our team. But what could you get for him right now? What is, because his like I said, his value is sky high right now. His value is sky high. And meanwhile, Bruce Brown, one good game since he's came back. Another stinker last night. Man, Bruce, you bug me, man. You bug me. Every time you get the ball, it's a turnover or a missed shot is what I've been seeing with you lately. So let's go over the rest of the team real quick. Davion Mitchell started 27 minutes, 0 for 3 from the field. Only took 1 3, didn't make it. 6 assists, 0 turnovers, 0 points, a -3. Davion, 6 assists, 0 turnovers. That's what a point guard does. Didn't score, didn't try to shoot a whole lot, but clamped down on Steph Curry as best as he could. and didn't let Steph get too crazy. I mean, what did Steph do in the end? He got 26 points. Yeah, that's the thing. Like I said, him and Scotty both had 23 points to start the fourth quarter. Well, Scotty had 23 points at the end of the game, and Steph only had 26. So he only made 1 3 the whole entire fourth quarter to help the Warriors win. So that must be a good defensive job by Oshai and Davion on Steph Curry to only allow him three points in the fourth quarter. So good job, Davion Mitchell. RJ Barrett, solid. RJ's still just not getting the respect from the refs. In some ways, he's going through doldrums right now. And part of it is because it really is hard to keep playing with such physicalness when the referees are such assholes. And in some ways, RJ in the beginning of the season was making a lot of these physical shots going to the basket because he just had it like that. He's worn down right now. And in some ways, the signs of him not completely finishing all of his drives and shots right now is that he has fatigue and he's a little bit more worn down than some of the other guys, dealing with the illnesses around Christmas and also all the physicality that he's not getting credit for and put on the line for. So RJ, 5 of 14 or 6 of 14, 1 of 3 from 3, 2 of 3 from the free throw line, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 turnovers, 15 points in 26 minutes, a +6. So he was adding the winning. It's just that RJ's had such a level that he's played at this season that we expect him to play at that level to be his best. And that wasn't the level he's at last night. And whether it's the things I just talked about, fatigue or physicality wearing him down, or he's just in a regular kind of biorhythm during the season where you're just going to kind of have a lower output or lower efficiency. And that's just what's happening right now. Either way, he's contributing to help to win. And the synergy between him and Scotty is just amazing, guys. Seriously, there's so many possibilities with RJ and Scotty, just the two of them alone, with what we can do going in the future. Grady Dick started, but once again, Grady, you get him early. He does help us get some points early, but you're not going to see him later on in the game. Now, as much as you want to see Chris Boucher play late in the game, that is very helpful, and he helps you win the game. For the future, you really want Grady to get more and more of those minutes and be able to try and learn how to play clutch minutes and hit big time shots for the Raptors when they really need them, and that kind of situation. But Darko's smart. In some ways, he has to get a good defensive unit out there. So Davion Mitchell, Chris Boucher are in the rotation, and they're playing late in the game in crunch time minutes because we need that kind of stuff. In some ways, Grady is a defensive liability, and we cannot afford to play him late in games right now, which sucks. And hopefully things will change where he gets better with certain things, or maybe overall the lineup with the other 4 guys will be a little bit better defensively so we can cover up some of the problems that Grady may cause on defense, and it'll be all right. But yeah, in some ways that's going to be a thing over time where Grady gets more and more late game minutes. But because in some ways I want him to play more late game because I know he's our best 3-point shooter, and he will absolutely hit huge shots with ice in his veins because he is like that. But because of the liability on the other end of the court, it's just really risky, and you can't get a seal or closeouts and stops on the other side sometimes with Grady in the lineup. 23 minutes, 4 of 10 from the field, 2 of 6 from 3. He hit both his free throws, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 turnover, 12 points, a -10 in 23 minutes. Yeah, Grady, man, you're awesome. This is solid. You were fine. I think that you hit some shots very in rhythm last night. You early in the game, guys were finding you, and you were stepping into your shot confidently, and you played very, very well. It's just in some ways, there's different new levels you're going to have to progress to on defense, and you'll get there. I'm trusting you, man. I believe in you, man. I believe in you more than the first time I scouted you because I thought you were just a goofy kid from Kansas, but you actually are a really, really passionate fighter and worker. And I believe you'll do it. I think you're going to be a fantastic defensive player at some point, Grady. And some of it has to do with your strength. It has to do with your strength. Kelly Olynyk just came in for a little while. He wasn't really out there for much last night. 11 minutes, 1 of 2, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 block, 1 turnover, a -10 with 2 points. That's it. Bruce Brown, 14 minutes of cardio, 0 points, 0 for 2, He took 1 3, was really bad. 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks, 3 turnovers. So it's like Bruce has 3 turnovers just like RJ and Scotty. And yeah, I guess this is a symbol here. You know, all right, you're a high paid player on the team. You got to get turnovers because you're high usage, right? Yeah, but if you're high usage and you don't contribute anything, what the fuck? That's what I say to Bruce Brown right now, man. I don't know. He annoys the hell out of me right now. Like I know we have to play him, but man, he is not making himself look good like Chris is. They're like opposites of each other. It's like Goofus and Gallant. Goofus is just out there goofing around and running cardio and not getting his trade stock up. Meanwhile, we got Gallant out there gallantly doing everything perfectly, and he is getting such a crazy straight trade stock up. Bruce Brown, get your fucking trade stock up. Jeez. Come on, man. Come on now. There's your rest of your box score there. Going off on Bruce Brown just a little bit there. Yeah, Stargate's here. Good morning, Raptor Freak family. Lex, Scout, Kasparis, Jaconaias. Sorry. All right, let me go look at this guy. This is Scout of the Day. We got Stargate giving it to me today. Here we go. Stargate has requested we go look at Kasparis. Okay, I can't spell the whole thing. Lithuanian. We'll just put that in, and he comes up. Let's see what's up here. He plays for Illinois. He's 18 years old. He's from Lithuania. Vilnius. Let's see. He is a point guard / shooting guard. So he's a combo guard at 6'6", 200 pounds. He's a 4-star recruit, according to 24/7 Sports. So he doesn't have the 5 stars, and he doesn't have a ratings from rivals. Looks like he's only played overseas, although he is on Illinois. So is he playing for Illinois right now? I guess he's playing for Illinois right now before he comes in because it has no college stats on there. All right, let's go look at him on YouTube real quick. 6'6" combo guard from Lithuania, Kasparis. Illinois. All right, let me see. Can I get him up on the thing? There you go. Highlights. Boom. His name. I guess people are searching for it because it came up pretty easy there. Let's see. Maybe the first clip is the right one. Yeah, we'll look at his mid-season highlights for this season on Illinois right now. He's a 6'6" freshman point guard. What's going on here? All right, turn that sound off and real quick. He's got a stats: 16.4 points, 5.6 rebounds, 5.4 assists. All right, let's see what he's doing here. That's a nice long 3. He got hit on the shot, so he got a 4-point play. That's pretty nice. He's pretty far out too. His stroke's very interesting. It's very it's kind of like Tyler Hero's. Okay. All of the highlights are 3-pointers so far. Here's a drive to the basket, nice little scoop shot. He went through 2 defenders. Okay, there's a nice drive. He passed it. He came at the basket, draw and kick, and his teammate got a shooter's roll. Let's see. There's a nice 3 from him, a little side step, and that's a good angle to see the lineup. Very, very interesting. Okay, so most of the highlights are 3s so far. He has a really interesting Euro step. He's like a stutter Euro step. He seems slow with it, though. I don't know if he can do it that slow in the NBA. Now, one of the things is he seems like he's at a slower speed. But hey, if he can be like Lee Kyer that's on Golden State last night, maybe he can play on a slower speed. But he seems like he's on a slower speed than the NBA speed. I would worry about that translating. As far as like, is this guy fast enough with what he's doing out there? Because he does seem really slow and plodding and kind of methodical with his moves. But his footwork's solid. He has a lot of step through kind of stuff. As far as like, I see him breaking down defenders and stepping through them. I see him kind of stepping away to get open threes. His footwork's very strong. Let's see. Where's this? Yep. See, there's a little step dribble. And he even gets hit and falls down sometimes just to try and get the extra free throw shot. That's what I'm noticing. People bump him. He does that. He's good at shooting threes with the hand in his face. I'll say that as far as things. There's a little pump fake in the lane. So this is a 6'6" point guard, combo guard, that'll drive into the lane, stop, and pop a couple pump fakes to get the person to jump and then put it in. That's a smart player. That's good training. Not all the young players know how to do pump fakes anymore, which is ridiculous, honestly. All right. So yeah, there we go. There's a transition three. He had it, but he passed it up and gave it to his teammate in the corner. That's pretty cool right there. Yeah, this guy is interesting. I don't mind him. I think that he's actually maybe a little bit better than Igor as far as like what I remember. Part of it is because I think that he's stronger than Igor. Igor is a really skinny, and this kid looks actually like he's a little bit more stout at 6'6" for the position, but he doesn't look as fast. That may be the trade-off. This guy may be a little bit stronger, a little more plotting than Igor, but Igor may be a little bit faster at what he does, is what I'm seeing. Yeah, okay. Yeah, this kid's got really good shooting, is what I'll say. Good footwork and good shooting for Kasparas. Maybe even the passing is kind of elementary stuff. I'm not seeing like super crazy level like court vision and passing. But he has passed it for people in successful kind of ways. So I don't know. All right, that's interesting. All right, Kasparas, he's, you know what? I don't know. I'm really the player I want to compare him to is Igor, because he's the one who's the most like him coming in that we've looked at already. I think that this guy, if he can be faster at what he's doing, which is something Grady had to do when he came in the league, is he had to up his speed for NBA speed. If he can be faster with what he's doing than what I saw in these clips, he could be all right. The one thing I will say is he does have a better body than Igor as far as things. So very, very interesting. Thank you for the scout, Stargate. I hope that scout of the day was informative and interesting and kind of fun to watch me look at a player for the first time. Yeah, Lithuanians are good players. There's a really rich basketball culture in Lithuania, and in some ways they train their players better in Lithuania to play basketball fundamentally correctly than they do in the United States. That's just the damn truth. Kareem's saying, you can't tell me that Bobby Boucher isn't Chris Boucher's older brother. Same storyline, coming off the bench and becoming the team's hero. Let's go, Slim Sanity. I mean, everybody's made the Bobby Boucher joke, the water boy joke with Chris over and over again throughout time. In fact, you'd hear the visitor announcers bring up Bobby Boucher and all that on games when Chris comes in sometimes. Yeah, we never really utilize that connection up here in Raptors land too much. I mean, it's there, sure. The last name. I don't know. I guess what you're saying, Kareem, is true. That this is very much like a Bobby Boucher Waterboy plot line with Chris Boucher right now. But, I still think that the best way to use Chris Boucher's last name is Trey Boucher. Trey Boucher. 3-point Chris. And it doesn't hurt that his action with his shot looks like a catapult. But yeah, all right, yeah. I'll let you have this one. Bobby Boucher was in the house last night, and he changed his first name to Chris. That's right, Slim Sanity. Slim Sanity. I like that. It's cool. A playoff Vince Sanity, Slim Sanity. I like that. I'm gonna give you a dunk for the Slim Sanity, not for anything else on that comment. Just the Slim Sanity, not the Bobby Boucher comment. The Slim Sanity hashtag. Yeah, there you go. All right, Kareem, you're gonna go to 12. 12 dunks for the dunk leader. Or dunk champion. I see if I'm going to see you on Sunday, I got to bring that book and some of your dunk championship prizes. If you're going to come to the Valley Suns game on Sunday with me, Kareem, let me know if you're coming. Stargate saying Scotty played more in the post last night, so much so Curry had to adjust his lineup and put in Looney to try and offset. Good stuff. Good win for the Raptors. Yeah, I like going to the basics. And the basics are a fundamental ideal is get as close to the basket as possible, a higher percentage for your shooting percentage. And Darko is putting that on, though. And Scotty, in some ways, I think he's reveling in being the big boy now. In some ways, he did this before, like on 2K all the time when we'd watch him play on Twitch. He loves to go down low, and he says, I'm going to get the big baby on my back, and I'm going to back him down, and I am going to score on them. Well, in some ways, Scott has matured and got his skill level and his ability on the court to the level where he can do this big baby stuff in the game now on the regular. And it's awesome. And it's crazy because he's going up against any defender. They can put their best defender on him, and he will score over them and shoot over them. He's made really tough shots over very long wingspan defenders in the last couple weeks with these turnaround mid-range shots. And man, doesn't that action look like Kawhi's action? I'm telling you, that's what Kawhi does. Kawhi does this little turn. He'll turn around near the lane, near the free throw line, and he'll just bump back down, and then right in the middle of the lane, just inside the free throw line, he'll turn around and shoot a very perfect kind of like shot that it doesn't go in perfectly. It gets a shooter's roll and goes in anyway. Yeah, amazing. So much channeling of Kawhi with Scott right now around the low post and near the free throw line. It's so beautiful and fun to watch. And I love that we're not just doing it just for fun to see it right now and then put it in a pin in it and watch it later come around. No, we're using it and we're continuing to practice it night in, night out, every game we show up at now. That was so frustrating to me with Nick Nurse. In some ways, that was one of the things that bugged me about developing Scotty in his first few years of his career was we'd see some of this stuff, these flashes of what we're seeing right now. But Nick would never, it was like he said all the time, well, I'm going to try things out during the season. And then when we get to the end of the year, I'll put that stuff back in. It's just I got to put a pin in it. So he would put a pin in Scotty doing low post work. We'd see it for like one game and we're like, oh man, what did you do down low if we just start emphasizing down low with Scott? And then we go away. And we wouldn't see it for like 2 or 3 months. I'm like, what the fuck? Scott gonna be going down the low post this whole time. Well, Darko's doing it. And he's doing it every game. And Scotty's doing it every game. And it's awesome. I love it. I love it so much. It's so much fun. I love it so much, man. I love it so much, man. Yeah. Kevon Looney, it's weird that he didn't start. Like, that's weird. Why wouldn't you start Kevon Looney if Draymond Green's out? I don't know. Maybe Kevon's older. And he's like, I don't want you to start me anymore. Give the young guys more a chance. I mean, in some ways, you could say that, Golden State is kind of like us. They've mirrored us a lot in the last 10 years or so. I know in some ways, this is a really good thing. I could show an example of the haves and have-nots of the NBA. That Golden State has had everything rolled out for them by the NBA and to be conducive to be successful. The Raptors have been stymied and held back. And in some ways, we went ahead and pulled the trigger on our rebuild last year. And we're getting into it now. But Golden State's still holding on to the old era right now, and they probably need a rebuild just like we do. But they may screw it up because they're going to hold on to the old dynasty of Draymond and Steph too long without retooling and restarting their new rebuild. And that's crazy to me. In some ways, it's weird because seriously, they have been like similar to us so much in the last few years in different places, the Warriors, and the things they've been going through. So in some ways, they're a good kind of team to look at from the other side and say, oh, wow, where are they at and where are we at? And in some ways, if you look at what happened in the game last night, I think most people would say the Raptors are in a better position going forward in the future than the Warriors are right now. I mean, seriously, think about it. Look at what happened last night and think about the young nucleus that they're putting together over there and think about the one we're putting together and think about what that team is without Steph Curry. Yeah. So, and the Warriors, like I said, they've had every single thing the NBA could do to help them, prop them up, and do this, and they're crashing down at this point in the season right now. And I don't expect them to right the ship this season. They're going to continue to plummet in the standings because they're bad. They are very, very bad. Watching them last night, they were very bad. And I expect them to just fall right out of the playoffs, honestly. I don't see the Warriors righting this ship this year. And they may need to make some really tough decisions with their team and starting a rebuild very, very soon. Very, very, very soon. Seriously. Yeah. Let's see. Smooth saying Golden State has some good young talent, though. They might be wise just letting them develop. Well, that's what I was saying. They're kind of like us. That's the thing. It's like, don't start Kevon Looney because you want to develop that young center. And some of these guys are different places. Like Pods is probably one of their better young players, but he wasn't available last night, obviously. There were some players that would have really helped them last night, like Kuminga. He's another one. I'm really glad we beat their ass. Seriously. I'm really, really glad we did. Kareem saying, I know Boucher has been involved in trade talks along with Kelly Olynyk and Brown, but sometimes you need that hometown veteran on the squad. Anyways, I'm going to need 10 first-rounders for Chris. That's right. Call Bobby and tell him that's the stipulation. Because we don't want to trade him if we don't have to. Although, also, it may make sense to trade him. I don't know. Kelly Olynyk's not in trade talks, is he? Why would he be in trade talks? That doesn't make any sense. Because, first of all, not to diss him, there's not a whole lot of people that probably want Kelly on their team. And then second, he's already expressed that he wants to stay in Toronto until he retires. So I don't see Kelly going anywhere. because it's worked out with the Raptors that he's going to hang around, and when he's done, he's done. He's going to walk off in the sunset in a Raptors jersey, just so you guys know. Cool Cat's here. Good morning, Raptor Free crew. Celebratory dub today. Happy for the youngins, a hard-fought motivation dub for their emotions during a challenging rebuild. Yeah, Chris, like I said, he reiterated it after the game, saying this is something that we just need for our spirit, is to win sometimes. They just got to win sometimes. They'll win more and more. That'll help their spirits even more. So let's see. Let's see what's going on. Celtics tomorrow coming to Toronto. Boston in Toronto. Boston's not as sharp as they were at the beginning of the season right now, and they've been losing games here and there. So they may be a little susceptible. We'll have to see what it looks like in the morning on the preview. And I'll kind of look and gauge what the chance that we may win. You know, ESPN said we had a 45% chance of beating the Warriors yesterday. Well, the ball happened to fall on the smaller side yesterday, which was fantastic. I love it. Cool Cat, I know you're enjoying the big win yesterday and the big win for 905. That's right. Smooth saying the only player that needs to be traded is Bruce Brown. That's a priority in my opinion. I will completely agree with Reggie on that one. G saying, I want a Boucher to stay. We need winning vets to provide energy and mentorship, but understand his value right now, too. You know what occurred to me last night, G, is that Chris Boucher is going to be one of Scott Barnes' favorite best friends for his entire life. That their bond and their friendship is really true and very close. That Chris Boucher and Scotty Barnes, they're just in the trenches with each other. And in some ways, Chris is that dude with Scott that has stuck around in some ways. I know when Scotty first came to the Raptors, he said there were two Raptors that impressed him in training camp before he even played in a Raptors game. It was OG and Chris. And he just said, I didn't realize Chris was like that. I'd seen him on TV and I'd seen this, but I didn't realize what he was until I got to practice with him. So the bond and the friendship between Scotty Barnes and Chris Boucher may be part of what keeps Chris here, y'all. We need to remember that. Because Scotty, he can't protect and say, I want everybody on this team. But if there's somebody and they're saying, should we trade Chris? And Scotty's like, no, man, Chris is one of my best friends. I want him on this team because in some ways he's important, special. You see Chris go crazy in the fourth quarter. And you see Scotty just jubilant for him. Jubilant for him. Smooth saying, Bruce Brown devalued himself last night. I know. That's what I'm worried about. This guy, it's like we play him, we're screwed. We don't play him, we're screwed. What are we going to do with him? I mean, he doesn't totally look healthy. He does still move the same way he moved last year. They're saying he's healthy, but to me, he still looks weird. Like, why does it look like when Bruce Brown's dribbling or going after the ball, he's running on a rope? Like, seriously, have you ever noticed that? Have you ever noticed that when Bruce Brown is out there, he's kind of traipsing around like, woo, whoa, like he's on a tightrope. You can fall off of it at any time. It's like the way he has his footwork with his balance. It's very strange. Like some of his dribbles are very unfundamentally wrong because they're very not protective of the ball. Like the ball will be way out here, and he's like walking on a tightrope. He's like, whoa, the ball's over here. I got to get it back over to me. And he just seems wildly out of control. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't get it. Bruce Brown, to me, he may be a champion with the Nuggets, but he's a Raptors fraud to me, man. That's what I've seen, man. He's a fraud. Like, seriously, I don't even understand how he got $23 million a year seeing what he does on the court for the Raptors since he's been here. Seriously, how the fuck did he get $23 million a year? That's crazy to me. That dude should not be paid that. That's why, in some ways, we had to eat him his contract for the Siakam trade, which sucks. G saying, yes, Stargate. Scotty in the post is so good. Yeah, keep going. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. Naco the Nachos here. Good morning, Gerald. How are you today? I want to keep Chris, but if someone overpays you, probably should trade him. Kasparis has super tantalizing size. Watching him just, like I said, he's very good footwork. I think that's the thing that impressed me the most about Kasparis. Is that he's very, very good about his footwork and his timing and where to step. And that he's a European with a Euro step. That's for sure. Very, very interesting player. Very interesting player. Carlos saying, morning, Lex and fellow freaks. A double win felt so good. Scotty Barnes played 40 minutes, and that closing lineup was so good. Yeah, I like the lineup of RJ, Scotty, Jakob, Davion, and Chris. It's a veteran kind of lineup that has a lot of poise and experience. It's also a lineup that's defensively quite good. And that, that, and it allows you to have RJ out there, even though he may be the worst defender out of those group, and do stuff that be offensive for you also with those guys covering it up. You got Yak and Scotty, and then an extra great small forward to rebound, and then you put RJ at shooting guard, and Davion is the point guard. That lineup was awesome. The defensiveness of that lineup was actually really promising for possibilities against things. And the other thing that struck me last night with Davion starting in the place of IQ was, a lot of the success of the Raptors this season was when Davion was starting at the beginning of the season. You think about it. Davion, there was a period of time in the beginning of the season when we used Davion as our starting point guard, and we were doing so well during those games. And he comes back and he starts a game like last night, doesn't score anything, gets 6 assists, 0 turnovers, and we win. And I get a feeling from the beginning of the game, I'm like, Davion being out there for some reason gives me confidence. For some reason makes our defense like 10 times better. And I don't know. It's a weird thing. I know he shouldn't start over IQ when IQ's healthy, but there's something different about when Davion starts for the Raptors, if you know what I mean. If you kind of feel it, you can feel it right from the start of the game. In some ways, we start better as a team in the game in the beginning. It may not be Davion scoring himself, but for some reason, we're better on defense and getting into our offense when he's out there. Does that make sense? It's weird. If y'all felt that and noticed that too, it was right at the beginning of the game. I was like, man, Davion starting is a different feel. It really, really is. Kareem saying Brown's value is diminishing every game. Only team that may scoop him up is Denver because of familiarity. Bradley Beal coming off the bench, averaging 20 points, looks more attractive, but the contract is ugly. I mean, they're both ugly. Bruce Brown's contract's ugly. Bradley Beal's contract's ugly. BB ugly. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. In some ways, look, we can look at this two ways, Raptor Freaks. Either we're going to trade him and we'll get something for him, even if it's something that we're underwhelmed with, it'll at least have happened finally. Or if we don't manage to trade him and he plays the whole entire part of his career, his contract out with us to the end of the summer, well, then we get that bonus of the money coming off the books. So in some ways, we got to look at it as a no-lose scenario. Whatever outcome happens, we got to take the positive of it and go with that, is what I'm saying. So we'll have to see. If he plays so bad that he cannot be traded, and we do keep him until past the trade deadline, until the end of the year, and then his contract's just up, and that $23 million or whatever that hold in the salary cap is out, so we can invest it in another way, well, we get that benefit, right? We get that benefit. That's right. Nako saying, I feel bad for Steph. Front office failed him. Well, you know what? He's not feeling bad, guys. Stephon Curry has had an amazing career. He's game changing. He has nothing else to prove. In some ways, it's like, I get this. Why everybody always thinks everybody's career has to be perfect the whole fucking time, their whole entire career. Like people in the past on this channel have said, oh, I feel bad for Siakam because he's wasting his good years in Toronto on a team that's going nowhere. It's always those kind of comments bug me. Because this is the thing. The NBA is not a fairy tale ending. The NBA is not a movie where the good guy gets everything and they win in the end. No, it's a cruel business, a highly competitive, cruel business where you're lucky if you even get an NBA minute, Marquise Noel. That's what I'm saying. Seriously. So don't feel bad for Steph Curry. Steph Curry has had an amazing career, 1 in a billion career, that has been full of acclaim and championships and changing an icon. He's all these things. Don't feel bad for him. If you get a perfect career, your whole entire career, was something weird's happening. There's something weird happening. So, yeah, don't feel bad for him, Nako. In fact, he doesn't feel bad for himself. In fact, he's coming to the press after the game and saying, I don't want to blow this team up, even though we look really bad tonight. And apparently him, Kerr, and Draymond are 3 together and saying, yeah, we want to stay together and don't blow this team up for a rebuild yet. So he doesn't feel bad. In fact, he sees promise even in the failure and the things, the struggles that they're going through with their young core and developing them. as there's value in the future. He said, don't give up on this now. We're going to get there. And he doesn't want his front office to make any huge like gut check reaction move to try and shake things up and fix things. He doesn't want that. That's on ESPN. There's an article this morning. Steph Curry does not want a huge shake-up trade for the Warriors right now. So don't feel bad for him. He's one of the greatest players to ever play in the NBA, and his life is charmed and beautiful and amazing. And how many rings does he have on his hand? Come on, Nako. Don't feel bad for him. There's so many other players that play basketball in this world that never even sniffed the NBA. You should feel bad for them. That's right. So we're saying Steph was exhausted, man. Well, yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. Davion Mitchell, ringer. That's what it was. He got Davion. That's right. The off night. Remember? The off night. Trevor's saying Darko said he's going to get drunk when Curry retires. Yeah, I don't like him saying that. I mean, that's not the way to celebrate, honestly. As a person in AA and stuff like that, whenever somebody says they're going to get drunk to celebrate something, it doesn't sound like celebrating. It sounds like you're miserable. And that's always what it comes off to me. I feel like people that drink to celebrate, sometimes it's because you're a miserable person. And maybe I shouldn't say that right here. People should have the right to drink and do whatever they want. But when he said that, that rubbed me the wrong way. I would rather him drink an espresso and just study more for coaching. Why would you be happy about that also, Darko? Seriously, because you like Steph Curry, and honestly, I'm going to say this about Darko last night. Darko was touched about winning the game last night. In fact, it was very meaningful for him. He beat Steve Kerr. I don't think he beat Steve Kerr last year. Golden State beat us both games last year, right? So he got to beat Steve Kerr, who's an icon and probably somebody that he looks up to as a coach. And that means something to him. When Darko gets these little feathers in his cap, I beat Nick Nurse. I beat Eric Spoelstra. I beat Steve Kerr. They matter to him because he's a head coach in the Raptors for only 2 years now, and he has not gotten a lot of wins. But when he gets a win against somebody like Steve Kerr, he feels it real nice. And then you add in the whole year anniversary of the coach, Dayon, who used to coach for the Warriors, passing untimely while they were on the road last year, and Darko wearing the shirt for him after the game break. Yeah. This mattered to him last night. This game was very meaningful to Coach Darko Rajakovic in getting this a win over Steve Kerr. He also said in an interview that part of Chris's success right now is Chris is drinking espresso before the game right now. Oh, my gosh. But, yeah, I mean, oh, man, Darko, don't get drunk because Steph Curry retired. Sure, maybe have one drink and toast him, but you don't need to get drunk. Yeah, it's a bad look, man. Bryce is here. Good to see Bryce Lawson. Steph has 4 rings. How did they fail him? No, that's what I'm saying. How'd they fail him? You know what? I'm going to agree with Nako that GM of the Warriors has been failing. Yeah, they've been failing for a while on the down low. But yeah, it is what it is. There's no guarantees. And geez, if you play your whole entire NBA career, 20 years or so, and you absolutely win every single year, something's wrong. It's like maybe the league is rigged for you. Seriously, because everybody's going to go through ups and downs. And there's no guarantee that you ride off in the sunset like John Elway on a championship with the Super Bowl. There's no guarantees like that in the NBA. That you get the storybook ending. I'm going to win the championship and ride off in the sunset. You should have done that, Al Horford, by the way. But yeah, there's no guarantees for that. So Steph Curry's going to get what he gets. He's probably going to be on a bad team for the rest of his career, and that's just what it is. But don't feel bad for him. Don't feel bad for him. Stargate saying Steph was not as effective in the fourth because Oshai was all over him. Pause. Yeah, he was. He just it was a really determined, it was a smart switch by Darko. And in some ways he brought it up at the end of the game saying that this was very, very much part of the plan. And it went really, really well. Oshai's just like that, man. We saw this crazy, that block that he had at the rim. Holy cow. And even the putback dunk he had, like the elevation and the ability to run and jump. Man, so good. So good. Kareem saying Grady was given the green light, but needs to wheel it in a bit. He was good creating his own shot in the mid-range off the dribble. I don't know what happened, but I'm not cool with him launching threes only. Part of it is the way that they're playing him in the system is he's the spot that's supposed to get the 3 shot. Now, he's not driving to the lane as much, partly for 2 reasons. He's getting hit really, really hard by defenders, and the refs aren't giving any free throws to him, just like RJ. So in some ways, you're young, you'll go down there fearlessly in the beginning, but after a while, you start getting hit a lot in the NBA, and you start thinking about nagging injuries or like taking too many hits going to the basket. And that's sometimes why a player may seem like they're not driving or going in to get contact as much sometimes. Some of it's also the play sets that they've been playing are more like the outcome in this Plinko board is for Grady to get these threes outside. And maybe people are laying off of him and letting him shoot more recently where they don't come up close to him where he drives around them. That could be part of it also. But I like the way he's finding his shots lately, and I really like how Scott's been finding them specifically. Scott's looking for Grady, and he's getting him the ball in really interesting ways. And Grady's getting good open looks, and he's nailing them for the most part. He's nailing them for the most part. Let's see. Nako's saying by not getting him help in the twilight of his career. Yeah, that's not a thing, Gerald. That's not a thing. Why is Steph Curry so special that he should just get that? Every single player should get that? Nobody gets that. That's not something that exists, that he's not getting help in the twilight of his career. Well, most older players, that's the way it is, especially when they're super, super good players like LeBron and Steph. When their powers wane and they're not as good and they're so integral and central to their team's success, well, their team kind of goes down with them. So as much as we're going to say they're not putting good players around Steph Curry to help him win right now, well, Steph Curry's skills are declining as he gets older in some ways on the down low. He may be smarter and more savvy, but in some ways he's not the same kind of energetic volume, kind of crazy, I'm going to do so much on the court kind of guy as he is. So you can say it's their fault, but it's also just that he's getting old. His powers are not as strong as they used to be so controlling of the game. Cool Cat's saying Draymond might not play in Toronto, but he surely comes for Carabana every year with LeBron. He definitely loves it here for pleasure. Yeah. I mean, sure that, but he's talked so much trash about our franchise, and in some ways, he's disrespectful towards Canada. Like I've heard him say some xenophobic things on his channel, and I think it's just fishy that he never comes and plays against us in games. I think that's just fishy. What is that about, Draymond? Did you have a bad experience here in the finals? Oh, yeah, you did. Oh, yeah, you did have a bad experience here in the finals. Maybe that's what it is. That's right. Kareem saying Curry runs the most mileage in a game. Don't quote me on that stat, but I see what I see. Fatigue at his age will creep up. Just needs to find his shot differently. Curry needs to scheme it up for him. I don't know if he's running the most in the league. Fred was the guy who was running the most in the league, apparently. Like Fred VanVleet apparently covers the most miles, running around all over the place all the time in the league. I don't know. I don't know that stat exactly. It may be Curry had that stat back in the day, like a couple of years ago, but I don't think it's true anymore. I see him a lot more measured with his energy and kind of like picking and choosing when to burst and go different places, but not necessarily all out like he did in the past. So I'm not sure that stat's correct. One thing that was interesting was the way that Matt Devlin was highlighting how Steph kept trying to get on the inside of Davion Mitchell when he was guarding him to like on his back, and some of the ways he was flipping around and stuff like that, making it awkward. Like Alvin said, yeah, you don't like it when you're guarding a guy to his back all of a sudden because Steph flip around all of a sudden and turn. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I mean, I get that. It's interesting the philosophy of how to guard a great player like Steph Curry and how to control him and corral him and get him to go to different places. It's very interesting how Steph kind of used momentum at times to get Davion out of the way and then score. Like very, very genius level kind of NBA stuff. Very, very genius level kind of stuff. Nins is here. Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Good morning to you, Nins. Thank you for being here with us this morning. Target saying, yes, Cool Cat, a.k.a. Pascal Siakam stand. Draymond and his wife are usually here for Carabana and are always out and about. Yeah. I mean, that's great stuff. I mean, Charles Barkley says Toronto is his favorite city, but once again, don't get it twisted. Some of these guys, even though they love the city of Toronto, they don't like the Raptors. and they kind of want the Raptors to be bad and have bad things happen to them. So they'll, I'm just saying, it's like that. It's like that. Let's see. Carlos saying that Scotty played the entire fourth quarter. Yeah, he was good defensively. He had a couple of key deflections and steals, and he was rebounding really well last night too. And his defense is top notch right now. Like, Scotty, we're getting a lot of focus on Scotty's offense and his ever growing superstar skills that he's showing now. But the defensive stuff is just is really good right now. In some ways, we got to remember, in the last year, the Raptors lost Chua, Anunoby, Siakam, all these really good long arm defenders, and Scotty has had to take up a lot of that slack this season, and he's done it very successfully. I mean, we're not as good a defensive team without all those other guys on the team, right? But in some ways, Scotty has been filling some of the holes that OG used to do right now. And we don't talk about that or give that enough credit. Seriously. Most saying it was ugly, crazy ugly seeing so much Steph jerseys in the stands in a good way. Yeah, there were a lot of Steph fans, and they're all very young, very, very young. You could tell there's a lot of kids. There was a moment before the game where Steph was signing jerseys on the court, and a guy who's sitting at courtside was wearing a Raptors Curry jersey, a Raptors City Edition with that logo on there, with the 30 and Curry on the back. And I was like, man, this guy made a custom-made City Edition Vince Carter logo jersey with Curry 30 on it. And, well, Steph, he liked it. He pointed at it. This was before the game. He said, that's a cool jersey. That's the Vince jersey with my number and name on it. Nako, maybe if Steph is so sad and bad, finish his career at Golden State, maybe because he did seem to like to see his name on a Raptors jersey last night before the game. Yeah, there were so many Golden State fans in the arena last night, and you see it when Steph makes a shot, the crowd goes wild for him, just like it's a Raptors. It's crazy. I mean, it is what it is. He's an icon, and another person who came to the game to see Steph was Adonis. Did y'all see Adonis at the game last night? He was there for just a sec. I feel bad for him. I called this when this happened, and this is exactly what happened last night. I'm pretty sure. It could be something different. I may be completely wrong, but I'm going to go ahead and theorize or speculate that this is what happened last night. Of course, Drake showed up for the game last night wearing a nice leather jacket and sitting at courtside with his son Adonis at the beginning of the game. I know that Adonis is a big NBA fan, and he has favorites. I'm pretty sure Steph Curry is one of his favorites. I know he had to go see the Charlotte Hornets because LaMelo was here earlier this season. Well, he had to see Steph. And what happened was the in-game ops saw that Adonis was at the game with Drake. They played his song on the arena speakers. Oh, my gosh. I know what happened. This is exactly what happened. Adonis is just a little bit older than when he made that video with Grady Dick and his dad. And he may think it's cringe already. He may be kind of already embarrassed a little bit about his dad making him make music or not making him or just having him make music like that. Because after they played the song, he disappeared. I don't know. I can only speculate what happened here, but it could be that Adonis heard his song in the arena and he got embarrassed and he never came back out to the game last night. It was weird. And it looked like Drake was on the phone kind of like texting with people in the back by himself for a part of the game in the middle of it. And I don't know. It may have been that Adonis had a birthday, bedtime, that he had to go bedtime. Sorry, Adonis, you can come to the game and watch the first quarter or so and see Steph. But yeah, you got to go to bed after that. And then my homie's going to come and sit out here with me. Okay, little gangster. Come on, man. Yeah, it was like, I don't know. I'm speculating, but it was weird because they played Adonis' song, and then all of a sudden Adonis disappeared for the rest of the game. And Drake was all over his phone afterwards, looking worried also. So I don't know. I'm only speculating. I don't know what happened there, but I think that Adonis got a little embarrassed because his song got played over the big speakers with everybody there. Don't talk about things like that. Like that. You know what I'm talking about. That's right. Yeah, don't talk about my person like that. All right, let me keep going. Adonis, you're an awesome, talented artist. I'm not hating on you. I'm just trying to figure out what the hell. Where did you go last night? It's crazy. Cool Cat saying, Lex, Raptors don't update our players' heights. For Pacers games, Siakam is listed on their screen as 6'10" on the screen, so Scotty is around that same height. Well, it's not the Raptors. It's not the Raptors. It's NBA proper. And, well, maybe they updated Siakam finally because he did get off the Toronto. In some ways, it's a stupid information war. Like, it's so dumb. It's so dumb. They want people to perceive people different ways. And height listed officially by the NBA is one of the manipulative ways the NBA tries to devalue or degrade players. If they come in the league at a certain height and they don't change it forever, well, that's devaluing the player. In some ways, it's insidious because it hurts their contracts sometimes, because public opinion and public perception of how tall a guy is matters. It matters. And the way the NBA has manipulated this and ESPN by putting certain players under their height has been very insidious. I'm telling you right now. So, yeah, Siakam was always 6'10", but when he was on our roster, 6'8" is what they called him for the longest time. 6'8", maybe 6'9". Yeah, it is what it is. In some ways, it's all a perception war. And they want to perceive Scotty Barnes as 6'7". You go ahead and perceive that NBA. The reality on the court is he's almost 7 foot. And y'all can go ahead and put that out there. I mean, I don't think it's the Raptors. I think it's the NBA proper that puts these informations out, and they decide the official height of the players, even if they're absolutely incorrect. Even if they're absolutely incorrect. Because I know they are. There's a few players they're wrong on. I think they're wrong on RJ, too. RJ's a little bit taller than what they're saying. And so is Scotty is for sure taller than 6'7". Oh, my gosh. Stargate saying Steph had some pretty bad injuries early in his career. He's 36 years old now, and it's showing. He's still got the skills, but just in a 36-year-old body, Father Time is undefeated. Exactly. And it's actually really amazing that he's been able to play this long, because he has covered a lot of miles in his career, and, you know, he's been very high usage. So it's a testament to him taking care of himself very well and, you know, just having a very successful career for longevity also. Small guards do not play long in the league often. People like Kyle Lowry and Steph Curry are an anomaly. Let's just put it that way. Smooth saying Stargate, he had a weight problem back in his rookie year. I remember. Yeah, he did. He was a little tubbier back then. He was a little more round. And he, you know, the crazy thing about Steph Curry is when he came in the league, he wasn't guaranteed that he'd be what he is. He was just another rookie who came in, and he was kind of like showing signs of certain skills, but we had no idea that he was going to do what he was going to do in his career. Even as he was not let's just say he wasn't like a Victor. He wasn't like a rookie that everybody heralded and put a lot of attention on. He was kind of working behind the scenes in the very beginning of his career. Nobody knew about him. He was very much, he earned all the acclaim and the attention. He really, really did. Let's see. Carlos saying, I like what I saw with Darko last night. His closing lineup was good. Maybe Masai gave Darko the wink to win again. I don't think that's happening. I think the wink to win again is happening every day. It's just whether we're successful or not. I agree. I think that in some ways Darko had a rotation last night that was conducive towards winning. It may very well be starting Davion over Jamal Shed was a very much the kind of decisions. Well, I know we have a better chance of winning with Davion's defense and Chris's energy and defense also. And so these guys got important parts in the rotation last night. And yeah, I think that there is, you know, maybe that is, you can kind of suss whether they're more trying to go to win it when you see Davion and Chris playing, is what I'm saying. If you see a night where maybe Davion and Chris are DMPing, that may be a development night. And it's not a night where the Raptors were trying to totally go all out and win. And it may be partly because the team that they're playing is kind of overmatched against us already. So let's see. Smooth saying his brother Seth was supposed to be the star. Steph was an afterthought, a self-made superstar. That is true and totally interesting, that aspect of it. Seth's had a fantastic career also. And he has been in the league for a long time still, and still in the league right now, I'm pretty sure. Let me see. It jumped ahead. Let me make sure I didn't miss any of the comments. Y'all, I don't have a slowdown. Remember that? And if we get to a certain point, don't keep adding comments, because I do want to finish in a reliable kind of time. G saying Oshai is becoming reliable too. Yeah. He's definitely reliable on defense, and the offensive stuff, it can come and go, though. a little bit. But he's, and it's interesting because he's been off the bench recently, and he's still having a huge factor, even though he's off the bench. Sometimes you worry about a guy who starts a good part of the season, they get relegated to the bench. Are they going to be able to continue to produce and do things on the court that helps the team win? And Ochai's doing that. It's not like he's ineffective because he got put on the bench. Smooth saying, in fact, a top 3 shooter ever. Steph, much respect to you. Yeah, those percentages are awesome. Most saying locker room happiness was nice. Got to congratulate Courtney Charles on the brand new courts in Saga City. A long chat. Awesome. You got to talk to Courtney again. I know we just saw him at the 905 game that we went to together. He came over and was very nice and greeting you and I and saying hi to everybody in our little group over at the 905 game against Westchester Knicks. Very cool. I also saw Monique hobnobbing with assistant coach of the Golden State Warriors, Jerry Stackhouse, last night. Yeah, I saw that picture. So you ran into Coach Stackhouse, former G League coach for the Raptors 905, after the game. Very, very cool picture, Mo, hanging out with Jerry Stackhouse. And when I saw him on the bench for Golden State, I was like, whoa, wait a second. He's on their team? Because I thought he was still coaching Vanderbilt in the SEC, but I guess he made the leap back to the NBA, and he's an assistant coach for the Warriors, and I just didn't see it. Because, yeah, seeing Jerry Stackhouse on their bench, and I love Alvin's stories about him. He's like, yeah, we came out together, Jerry Stackhouse, and he tried to do a windmill 360 dunk from the free throw line. Alvin's so good, man. Alvin just keeps getting better and better and better as a broadcaster. He's just so good. He has so many good stories and just so much insight, and he's just funny too. Like some of the stuff he's been saying lately has just been hilarious. I forget exactly what he said, but Alvin's just like, he's loose, he's comfortable, and he's confident, and that's the thing I love about his journey. I mean, he's been doing it on the main TV about as long as I've been doing this channel, and I know there was a very early Raptor Freak stream I did where he was replacing Leo. And I was like talking about it, how it's a good thing. It's sad because we all loved Leo. He's an icon for Raptors basketball, but this is a really good thing. It's a good switch. And now we're really seeing it like a couple years in with how Alvin's developed as a broadcaster and just what he adds to it is just so awesome. So awesome. So kudos to you, Alvin Williams. Keep doing what you're doing. You're second to none as far as you're in some ways you're doing really, really good. Now you're apples to oranges to Jack. I'm not going to try and compete like and compare and like try and like, oh, Jack versus Alvin. No, they're very different flavors. And in some ways I like having the difference. But man, Alvin's so good and fun to listen to. And I love those little stories like the stuff he was talking about with Stackhouse last night. Very cool that you met Jerry last night, Mo, and you got a picture with him and you were talking to him a little bit. Very, very, very cool stuff. I love that. Kaz saying, good morning, everyone. Good morning to Trucker Kaz. It is the week, so he's on the road again. Andrew saying, morning, y'all. Happy W. Oshai went from one of our worst players last year to one of our most consistent role players. Love to see it. There were so many Curry fans in attendance. Yeah, Oshai has been a real success story for us right now. And like people have said recently, Utah fans have remorse about letting him come to us at this point. And that's the fantastic kind of stuff you want to hear. Knicks fans are upset about RJ and Emmanuel being on our team. Utah Jazz wishes Oshai was still in their jersey. That's a good sign that our coach is getting good stuff out of our players. Yeah, so many Curry fans in the house last night. Well, they were disappointed in the outcome of the game last night. That's awesome. There was no love fest like when Jokic and Denver came in town and all the Jokic fans got so happy because Denver won. No, the Warriors lost last night and the Raptors won. That's right. That's what we want to see. That's right. Seymour's here. What pop, Raptor freaks? Just saying hi. No comments. No more from me because I'm just tick people off, waiting for a classic card. You don't tick people off, Seymour. You're just yourself, man. And in some ways, we don't always all agree. But you know what? I'm happy we won last night. You should be happy we won last night. Let's celebrate. How about that? Let's go. Yeah. G saying, Seymour, you need to comment. Yeah. I know I'm surly and weird, and I'll react honestly to every comment, but don't stop commenting because of that. You're a great contributor to this channel for many years now, and we enjoy your parts of what you say. That's right. I said, because Fiercey's not here anymore, you don't want to comment anymore? I want to know where Fiercey is. I'm really kind of worried about her. I think I might shoot a Facebook message to Marie today just to check on her and see how she was doing. Let's see. Kareem said, I was hearing there was a lot more Golden State fans in attendance at the game yesterday because of the wildfires. Some have bottomed out and spending their savings just to negate the fact that they have no home. That sounds awful and crazy. That sounds awful and absolutely crazy. And I don't think that's what that was. You think there's a bunch of people that came from California because they ain't got no home? They just flew to Toronto and went to the game for the hell of it. We also got to remember Golden State is not where the fires are. The fires are in LA. And a lot of the people that are in San Francisco are unaffected by what's going on. I don't know about this. There's a lot of Golden State and Curry fans in Toronto already that just live here. So I don't think that they're bussed in or flied in. No, these are people that were already here that showed up to the game like that. I'm pretty positive. Now, on the note of the fires and stuff like that, let's do the Instagram stories real quick because I do have a lot more still to do on this channel. And that's one of them. All right, I'm going to do this in a second. I'm going to review the Toronto Tempo's original first ever collection of clothing that they put out. It's on their Instagram stories right now. The wait is over. You can go check out the gear. I will go over it in a second on here. Now, speaking of the fires, and I'm going to look at Norman Powell's Instagram first, is Kawhi passes to James Harden, and then they work it all the way around to Norman, and he gets a nice attacking dunk on the baseline. Very, very cool stuff. So Kawhi's back out there, but he's on load management, and he's not playing as all out. He's kind of taking it easy while he's playing to a degree, just to not get hurt again. But yeah, Norman's putting that LA strong out there. Together we stand as his team plays in an area that's under a disaster watch right now. And yeah, there's he's got a thing up saying spare clothes will match you with someone in need. So yeah, if you're looking for a way to help the people affected by the fires, here's a way that you can help. You can donate clothing through Norman Powell's Instagram account. On his stories, you can find that. Eric Smith's got a picture of the extras, who is Adonis and Drake at the game. So Adonis was there at the beginning of the game. I'm telling you, man, that song is going to haunt him for the rest of his life. And he may not be totally happy that he did that song with his dad at some point. Watch. I mean, Andrea Bargnani's fine with Prima Pasta. But I don't know if Adonis is going to be fine with don't my God. Okay. You know, I don't think he will be. No. There's Superfan Mo with some friends at the game. Long overdue win. Well played versus Warriors. Very, very cool stuff to see the Superfan in her habitat at the Scotiabank Arena where she's most happy. I know that. There's Chris Boucher getting love from Ulrich Shamshay, putting Chris with the chain after the game last night on blast. I love to see that. Shamshay celebrating that. Garrett Temple before the game with his pregnant wife, wearing the very, very nice suit. This was in New York, though. He said, "What are you looking at?" And he says, "The future." That's right, the belly of the wife. Davion Mitchell with lots of pictures on his Instagram, him coming in the game, him dribbling around, him with Steph Curry guarding him. I think, like I said, it's very special to him to get the matchup with Stephon Curry and going against him. Maybe Emmanuel was like he didn't want the smoke, but Davion did. And Davion, in some ways, is that defender that matches up with Steph Curry. He's played him a lot, being on the Kings and stuff. There he is signing a young fan's jersey, Davion, and there he is with Steph. I'm telling you, it means something to him. When you post pictures like this on the Instagram, it means something. There's like 3 pictures on Davion's Instagram of him guarding Steph Curry, and that means something to him and the ability to try and slow him down and get that privilege to try and play him. Jamal Shedd's got the famous Drake chips with dip saying beside the pool. Of course, Shed is a huge Drake fan, and I'm sure it's just kind of weird and surreal to play for the Raptors, be successful, get a win against the Golden State Warriors and Steph Curry, and Drake is sitting at courtside celebrating the win with you, and you're a huge fan of his. That's got to be surreal for Jamal Shed that you're at that point. There's a highlight that he's showing where Scotty finds him in transition, and he just takes a nice rhythm 3, steps right into it and nails it. No problem whatsoever. Here's another play on Shed's where he's throwing it up court real quick to Bruce Brown, who finds Shed for the second 3, and he just nails it. No problem. Shed, your 3-point shooting is the key to your career. I'm telling you right now. Emmanuel quickly saying happy birthday to Peculiar Jide. I'm not sure who that is. Somebody in New York, I believe. Jameson Battles posting the Drake video that was posted by Jamal also. And he's got a sad troll face for the Vikings. I guess the Vikings got kicked out of the NFL playoffs or something because yeah, he's sad. RJ Barrett's got a picture of him shooting over Maple Jordan. Very, very interesting. Maple Mamba versus Maple Jordan last night. That's a little bit of a subplot in the game. Andrew Wiggins and RJ Barrett, because I've talked about them in a lot in the last year or so in relation to Team Canada stuff, and whether you need Wiggins on the team if you have Barrett on the team. Wiggins was interesting. He hit that really crazy three in the fourth quarter that kind of got them close. It was a totally contested three. And there was a little bit of back and forth between Wiggins and Barrett that I could tell. I mean, obviously they know each other and they're friendly, they're friends, but there's probably a lot of competition between those two guys on the down low. And RJ posting a picture of him and Wiggins in his Instagram story is something. It means something, like I just said about Davion. And RJ also celebrating Chris Boucher for his excellence last night with a big picture of him hugging Drake after the game. That's funny. And also celebrating Jakob on the down low. Here's a milestone that happened last night, guys. Jakob Poeltl scored his 5,000th career point in the game last night. And RJ's putting his accomplishment on blast on his Instagram stories. You love to see that. There's more TikTok silliness from Matt and Kayla and Jack on Matt Devlin's there. And there's game time with Alvin Williams and Matt Devlin from last night. Yeah, and Matt loves Chris. He loves Chris Boucher. The announcers really love Chris Boucher. Jack does too. And that dunk that Chris threw down when he attacked the rim and just threw it down really hard, Matt Devlin has reposted it because he's a big fan of that. He's also got the Scotty Barnes, the Chris Boucher. There's the layup that he did when he went around on the inside near the baseline and got just around the Warriors defender. That was a fantastic play there, that drive too. And then here's he's got all of Chris's highlights here. Like that one over Wiggins where he just lofted it over his head. That was fantastic. Fantastic stuff. Yeah, lots of highlights Matt Devlin's putting up from last night's game, and they're all Chris. He's just celebrating the greatness of Chris Boucher all over the place on here. Chris has a lot of Instagram stories from last night. He said he's protecting his peace in 2025. That's how he's doing it. When you realize you picked the wrong career choice and it's Monday, it's like a weatherman or something. I don't know what's going on there. There he is in the interview after the game, and somebody's saying he's a different guy. He is. He's a different guy. That's for sure. There's the hug with Drake. Let's see. There he is throwing it down with Matt highlight. And there's Kane coming out and wrestling on Monday Night Raw. And that's how he's feeling these days. He's feeling like the big monster Kane coming out with law enforcement chained up. And then there's when God reveals his plan. And then after everything makes sense. There you go. You're starting to figure it out, Chris. That's right. And there he is coming in the game in the hallway. And me directing all the negative vibes out of his life. That's right. He's getting all the negativity out. He's going with the flow of life, and he's staying positive, and boom, you see the results. AJ Lawson with some pictures of him before the game at 9:05. And also he's got a highlight of Ulrich Shamshay blocking the hell out of a player for the Blue last night, and then him dunking it the other way. Lawson was really good. Actually, we'll have to do the 9:05 stars of the game and their box score in a second. So we still have a lot to do here. 26 points for AJ last night. He's celebrating his score there. Wubbs didn't play in the game, but he's celebrating his team winning 104-101 against the Warriors. The Raptor is throwing T-shirts out to everybody on his Instagram, and he's hitting the drum. And then he came out as Gigantic Raptor in the game last night. I don't know if you saw the Gigantic Raptor. And yeah, there he is just messing with people at the court side. Always messing with people. That's what he does. SGA with a picture of him and his buddy with his fingers crossed. Don't know what's going on there. Raptors 905, all kinds of stories there. Kevin Hart, once again, with Morris Peterson and his kids. And his kid, Morris Peterson's kid's as tall as Kevin Hart. And Kevin Hart's trying to tell Morris Peterson's son to tell everybody he's taller than everybody thinks he is. And he's not a short guy. You tell them that. There's a picture of Eugenio Maroy with Maris Andrade, the assistant coach of the Raptors. He's on the big time with the Raptors last night. Unfortunately, did not get in the game, though. But he was there, and he was dressed. I don't know if I'll do any more of the stories. It's Raptors official, and Pascal Siakam has an unbreakable cyber safety training program going on. So there's your Instagram stories right there. Yeah, lots going on today. I'm about 2 hours, and I still got another reaction to do completely, man. Completely, yeah. Yeah, let's see. Cool Cat saying Buddy Hield is a streaky shooter, so when he's off, it's glorious as an opponent. Yeah, I mean, he's the kind of player that you don't if he's not hot, that's good. That's good because you have a better chance to win. But if he is hot, you're screwed. He's a very dangerous player. You don't want him to get going. And Raptors did a good job of stymieing him and not letting him try to get going. All right, Seymour's saying, nah, bro, my opinions get bashed. My questions get bashed while others get dunks and shit. This is the best Raptors channel is hand down. So I'm just going to take notes from the know-it-alls. It's not like that, Seymour. Come on, man. I know I can be a little harsh, and in some ways, I can't. I have no filter. If I like something, I'll like it. If I don't, I don't. And maybe if you felt like I've been more like negative about some of your comments recently, I apologize. It's not like I'm trying to pick you out or point you out as one individual person. That's not what I'm trying to do. Please continue to interact with the channel. But once again, I'll tell anybody on this channel, I gotta be me. I can't change who I am. And if people leave or they don't like what I'm doing, I'm not gonna kiss people's asses either. So, and that's part of the problem with some of the people who left recently. So, Seymour, it's up to you, man. I value your comments and your presence in here, and I would like you to continue to do it, but I can't control you. If you decide you don't want to anymore, that's fine. But also at the same time, you got to understand, I can't totally control what I'm going to say when you say something too. I can, if I'd say something out of pocket that hurts your feelings, I will apologize for it. But for the most part, I'm just giving honest reactions to everything that I do on here. Honest reactions to the Instagram stories, honest reactions to the game, honest reactions to the comments. And it's not anything personal, and it's not anything like specifically about you. You've had amazing comments over time. Everybody goes through this. You can ask anybody who regularly comments here. I'm going to sometimes not totally go along with your comment. And that's just how it is. And it's not like you all have to agree with me either. Just because I say something and I don't totally agree with you doesn't mean that's the end all be all of things. There's somewhere in the middle of our perspectives is probably what's right. So either way, man, I appreciate that you still enjoy the channel and stuff, but I don't want you to lessen your participation. That's not what we want. No, G saying some WNBA news. Toronto Tempo merch dropped. The colors look great, and the logo is going on me. Roots is partnered with them. Yeah, and Sephora. All right, that's my cue. I'll go review this stuff now. Right now, we'll go look at it. Now, I'm going to say this right now. Teresa, I think you released too much stuff today. I think it would have been more special if you had made a very small set collection of one item of each type of thing instead of making so much as so much, because it will be more distinguishable later in the future as original Toronto Tempo gear. If you make so much original gear, it'll be hard to discern from the stuff that comes out later what is actually original. So in some ways, y'all might have screwed up by having such a vast line that maybe you needed to just have one design of every type of article of clothing, and it would have been signified as this is original Toronto Tempo clothing. And everybody know, oh, that's the original hat. Oh, that's the original hoodie. I don't think you can do this with what y'all are doing right here, because there's so much y'all have put out. It's insane how much. Like, they have a whole J. Crew catalog of Toronto Tempo stuff. It's like nothing to a whole freaking 20-page catalog of stuff. And I'm going to try and go through it all really quick. I mean, I see a baby outfit that's white with the purple logo on it that is for very much a toddler. This says a youth. There's a black shirt with the Toronto Tempo and a blue logo. See, there's so many different looks and different things that you haven't made an original kind of, this is the feel. If you had even said this is the first Toronto Tempo shirt, that would have been a more distinguishable thing, because in some ways you want to build value in your brand, and you may have watered it down with your too much stuff already. In some ways you need to go over time and bring out new stuff, and maybe you needed to save half of this collection for like 6 months from now, maybe, to keep it fresh. But I feel like y'all shot your entire shot of clothing right now, and that may not have been smart. Seriously. WNBA sweatshirt. Pretty cool. I like this. It has the Toronto Tempo logo on it. It's a gray sweatshirt with purple lettering, and it's got like a court, and it's got the ball. It's a nice sweatshirt, but like, once again, does this need to be in the original collection in the very beginning right now? There's a nice white hoodie that looks like it should have been original collection. Just a black shirt. There's just too much. There's so many different colors and different schemes. Nobody's going to be able to tell what is an original Toronto Tempo gear unless you really pay attention to it and you're a nerd about it, which there's not going to be many people that are going to do that. So I think this is a fail in some ways. I hate it because honestly, the Tempo are not doing things correctly so far. Whether it's the leak and coming out now, I think they just kind of went too crazy and put out way too much stuff. You should have had a limited collection. I'm just saying, Tempo. I can't go through all of this. You have like 5 different posts on your Instagram with like 20 different items that are for sale. I mean, I love the stuff. It looks good. I like the black and the purple. I like the different color schemes and the logo does look better, like the comment said. But in some ways, it's just too much. There's that Roots jacket that we saw Teresa wearing. Roots jacket with the Tempo logo on there. That's one that may be the one that is iconically the original item because she wore it the first thing it was ever seen on TV. That is that Roots jacket that she wore on TV. That she brought the prototype on because they brought it to her door because they didn't have anything and they needed something to wear. That may be the one. There's a nice little beige hoodie that says the game grows on with a nice little flower on it. There's just too much. There's too much. It's crazy how much y'all just dumped this morning for gear. It's way too much. You guys don't even have. You guys, there's a LBGTQ rainbow logo Tempo shirt. That's pretty good. It's cool stuff and it looks good. I'll say that. But man, y'all drop way too much. Nobody's going to know what original Tempo gear is because there's too much. It's too watered down. Anyway, I'm going to keep going. Let's see. Yeah, I like it. I like the colors. I like the logo more too. But man, they made too much stuff. I'm telling you, there may be some weird person that's like, I have to have all of the collection of Toronto Tempo stuff, and they're spending some crazy ass money today to buy every single item that is available for them. Some people are completionists like this, Teresa. Some people have OCD and these kind of foibles where they're going to be like, yeah, I'm going to have to buy every single thing that's Toronto Tempo that comes out because I want to collect it. And well, you're making these people spend some money today. That's for sure. That's for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Let's keep going. Kareem saying, Seymour, in real life, I tick people off all the time. I actually take joy in being an asshole. Give me that asshole energy. It's welcome here. RSVP to my message or I'd be pissed off. Kareem has taken joy in me being mad at people on the stream in recent past and stuff. And I was wondering, it's like, man, he says, don't ever change, Lex. But sometimes I think, man, maybe I would change a little bit of me being like that because I'm not totally happy when I'm like that and turning people off. But Kareem relishes it. He's like, you know what? I own that I'm an asshole, and that's fine. That's just how it is. I mean, it's just a certain part of what's going to happen in life. And in some ways, the people that kind of understand that and can get along with him, well, those are his people. I mean, I get it. Listen, I can be an asshole. I know. But the one thing is I just got to be honestly Lex. And that's the one thing about this channel that it kind of is the centerpiece of it. And yeah, but I appreciate your comments, Kareem. And once again, Seymour, I do highly value what you say. I'm sorry if I've been negative towards most of your comments recently. I'm not trying to do anything specifically. I'm just taking every comment as I see it. And I'm kind of like, yeah, I'll say to Monique, I don't totally have the same perspective on a comment like we had the other day where she said this year's like the first year of the Raptors. And I was like, I don't really see that, but that's just a disagreement. It's not really like me judging you as a person or anything when you say something and I don't agree with it. It's more just, I don't have the same opinion. That's all. Let's see. G saying, Seymour, your opinions and questions matter, but do what you see comfortable with. Yeah, that's the other thing is I'm not trying to control anybody, and I don't want anybody to try and control me either. I mean, I may ask you guys to do things like limit your comments or stuff like that. I guess that's kind of controlling, but it's really just out of courtesy in thinking about like me with this. And maybe I do have some rules that are controlling about how we talk about the Raptors, but for the most part, you guys know my reasons for why I do that. Yeah. Kareem saying, when teams are losing, everyone is a bit on edge. So many different opinions, so much negative things to point out. When winning, we only talk about fun stuff. Embrace the rough times to get better. Now, that's not true. Kareem, that's not true. When we're winning, these people are going to talk about all the things we're doing wrong then too. That's why the action is either you're like a positive fan or a negative fan. We could be winning championships every year, and there will be a certain section of Raptors fans that are just negative and full of shit all the time. Seriously. So it doesn't matter winning or losing. The action of this particular fans is going to be the same every time. They're going to be overly critical, and nothing's going to be good enough. They could win the championship for 10 years straight, and they'd still be the same way. So yeah, there's going to be still this kind of stuff. But it's true. It's much worse when you're losing, and there's more people that are more frustrated and more wanting to express themselves in just like angry ways about the Raptors losing more than winning. Yeah. Nako saying, I see a lot of people talk up 2026 top pick AJ Dibansta. Okay, you're getting a year ahead. I gotta wait for scouting him at least until next January. Yeah. Carlos saying, yeah, unfortunately, right now you can't play RJ and Grady together in a crunch time. You have to have Oshai or Davion in there if we want to win. I agree with Kaloy on this. I think that that's true. I think that in some ways, some of the bad starts this year have been partly because those guys have been in the lineup together, but also with Manuel. Like it's those games when we first got that barbecue back, the part of the problem was the defensive strength of the starting lineup without Oshai, with Emmanuel back, with RJ and Grady. There's a little bit of holes, more holes in some ways in our defense with that lineup in some ways. And that's a problem we're going to have to fix, hopefully through individual progress by each of those guys getting better defensively. And because I want to have that starting lineup. I like Grady in the starting lineup, and Manuel has to start. That's just how it is. And, RJ will show more increased developments in defense. It'll really help. It'll really, really help. Seymour saying at Kareem, at G, you guys rock. This channel rocks. I will still be here day in, day out. All right, Seymour. Well, that's the important thing. Maybe what you could do is be comic relief or something like that. Maybe you could do something just to be fun on the channel. Maybe you have a funny comment, or maybe you just have something you want to talk about with your own life, and we don't have to talk basketball. You can put whatever you want in there. You're an OG. You're an original. You've been here you got a wrench. You do what you want to do. I know this something similar happened with David. David was like commenting a lot, and him and I were not agreeing very much. And at a certain point, David just got turned off from like talking too much about his opinions about the Raptors because we wouldn't agree. And he kind of said, yeah, I'm just going to lay back and watch now and not be as active in the comments. And he told me this behind the scenes. He's like, yeah, because in some ways I feel like you and I aren't really like jiving with what we're trying. I get that. I appreciate that you still want to be here either way. But I don't want you to feel like that. I really don't, City Slicker. You're somebody special to me. And I do want you to be a participant. I really do. Kareem saying Kelly Olynyk came and chipped in Kool-Aid. Cool -10. Sorry, that's Kool-Aid. Kelly moves like an ancient artifact. His game is not transcended from early 60s. All right. Once again, I'm not going to bash Kelly. Kelly is a slow player. He's a slow player. That's true. He's awkward. He looks really weird with his footwork. If whatchamacallit, Kasparas has really good footwork out of Lithuania that I scouted earlier today, Kelly does not always. I mean, he does, but it's like Lee Kyer footwork. He's really slow and methodical on his own time, like Kyle Anderson. But yeah, Kelly's an ugly player, and either you like him or you don't. In some ways, you like some of the blunt ugliness of the way he plays. It's up to you. I have no problem with Kelly. In fact, Kelly came out. He does a little bit. If he's not really working right, Darko may ignore him for the rest of the game. He usually comes out for a first stint for sure, and then he doesn't play a whole lot sometimes later in the game if he's not effective or he's not really helping. So in some ways, he's just a good backup big to have around. Good backup big to have around. Smooth saying Nuggets, Clippers, and Grizzlies were the teams that had staff scouting our game last night to possibly get Bruce Brown or Chris Boucher. So it's the Nuggets, the Clippers, and the Grizzlies. That's right. Yeah, and the Warriors as well. yeah, the Warriors were there scouting too. Blackhawks saying Kasparas is the point guard, is the more point guard than Igor. That's what I saw too. Like it looked kind of like that. I think I like him more than Igor. I think I do. I think that once again, the Duke factor has something to do with it, bringing somebody's value up higher than it probably is. Like you guys mentioned before, you play for Duke, you get a little bit of inflated value because the team around you is so high quality and good that it'll make you look good. So in some ways, that may be something I would look at when kind of deciding between Igor and Kasparas is that he's Illinois and he's Duke, and there's a factor in that. Yeah, Carlos saying, are there any long arm athletic monsters in the top 5 in the next draft? I don't know. I mean, Ace Bailey, does that count? I mean, I guess so. Blackhawk saying Kasparas is a better point guard than Igor. That's what you meant to say. Yeah. Nako says he likes Common Malak. We looked at him. Carlos saying Malak is a center prospect. Any 6'9" athletic wings in the top 5? Well, you guys find them and bring them to me, and we'll look at them. How about that? Randolph saying, blessings, beloved Raptor Freaks, most informative gang. Always strive toward perfection, for perfection is possible though you may not know when you've achieved it. I don't know if it is actually completely possible, but you can do as best you can every day and strive to get better and better. But yeah, the idea of perfection is kind of like something that is not healthy to try and chase. I'm serious. I think that some people get really, really so anal about things being absolutely perfect when in some ways they need to understand actually that things are what they are. They just be what they be. And I know you can shape and form your life, but also expectation will come with misery. And if you can't be absolutely perfect at what you think is perfection, then you could be miserable. And that's not a good way to be, because it could be that your happiness is tied up into something that's impossible, that you can never be perfect. And because you can't be perfect, you'll be miserable for the rest of your life. So I'd say this: strive to be better every day instead of trying to be perfect. Just get a little bit better every day, because you're saying perfection can be achieved, but I don't think it can be. No, I think that there's always going to be some minute little percentage that is not perfect in anything that is made. Anything. It could be like a product that's made, and there's one little granule of some sort of molecule of something that's inside it that makes it just slightly not perfect. And that's just how it is. The world is imperfect, and so are people, and so is everything that's been created in it. There's nothing perfect in this world. There is not. No. I had to disagree with Randolph. Very rarely do I disagree with Randolph. That's for sure. Blessings to the Phillips family and all the Raptor Freak families out there. Strive to be better every day. How about that? G saying Luka and Joker have a slower speed too. Yeah. So if you can get away with it, some ways you have to be a pretty strong, confident player that knows their own tempo to play at, and you just can really stay in it and also absorb any kind of quick defense or strong defense coming at you because you're an easier, slower target. That in some ways Luka and Nikola have to be strong to be able to play that slow. And Lee Kyer, same thing. RJ, same thing. He's a little bit slow in some ways with some of his deliberate stuff. Yeah. Smooth saying, you're right, though. Chris Boussaint's trade value will never be higher than it is now. Yeah. That's why it's opportunity. In some ways, he's had a beautiful, amazing career with the Raptors. And in some ways, you don't want to totally hold on to something for sentimentality just because of that. It's not good business. In some ways, yeah, we can be a family and a team that's like very together and family-like. But also at the same time, Masai and Bobby are running a business and a team that's supposed to win, and the owners want to make money. And, that's what you got to think about, the business side of it. Nako's saying outside of Cooper and Ace, not a lot of athletic wings. Yeah. Those are the two that I've seen so far that kind of fit this. But these two point guards, some of these point guards have very long arms that I've seen too, as far as the one we looked at today. And even Igor, he has long arms too. Let's see. Smooth saying maybe Bruce Brown and Chris Boucher can be traded together. That can make it easier to trade them. And then if you think about the money with that, that's like a $30 million player that you're getting for those two guys. Because you put their money together, it's like $34 million. So yeah, to make that money add up, that we're getting a substantial piece. If not, like I don't know what you'd get. Would you get just one huge player and one huge contract? I don't know. That you got to really think about what's coming and going, and whether it makes sense with what we're doing with our rebuild. You really got to think about that. Yeah. Let's see. Nins is saying, speaking of the Warriors rebuild, they could have really used Jordan Poole. You know what, Nins, you're getting a dunk for this because you're exactly right. In some ways, he was the most promising young player for them, even if he was frustrating, getting punched out by Draymond Green and different stuff like that. It's kind of true. It's kind of true. Wiseman's another project that kind of just went away for them. Kaminga's starting to turn around and come up to the place where they wanted him to be, and he may be the only success story out of those guys in the end. Pods is going to be one that's pretty good too, from what it looks like too. Yeah. Let's see. You got a dunk, Nins, for your Jordan Poole reference here. Garrett Temple is an amazing mentor. I watch him on the bench, hugging and embracing players, good or bad. He's in your chest, giving words of affirmations. There's something about his fatherly intentions. Yeah, I like what he's been saying to people like Chris, Davion Mitchell, Jamal Shed hit those 2 threes. He's coming off the court, and Garrett comes over to him and gets in his ear, and he just kind of gives him some. That's what you need to keep doing. You got that right there. You got that aggression. This is your confidence. You can do this, Jamal. You're going to do this. That's the kind of stuff Garrett's saying to him in his ear as an older vet on our team, looking out and mentoring our young guys. And yeah, he was definitely giving mentorship to Jamal Shed at one point last night. I saw on the camera. And yeah, there's different people out there that are doing different things. You know, Kelly does certain things. Garrett's definitely doing things for sure. Yeah. And Emmanuel was being a leader too, and a helpful person off the bench and cheering them too. G saying, I like Davion starting. Have asked for that starting lineup. Scotty plays more free with Davion. He isn't so focused on defending the best player, and he looks more confident and fluid when Davion's on. I think this is exactly right. I think G's pointed out a couple of key reasons for why the feel of Davion starting is so nice. Is because it does free up Scott to a degree. And I think G's going to get a dunk for this because, honestly, that is a really on-point comment right there. That totally makes sense as to why right there. And in some ways, you know, Davion's going to actually do really point guard kind of stuff and really not try and shoot at all. Well, Scotty's going to have to be ready to shoot then. Let's see. Stargate saying, I can see a very close friendship between Grady, Oshai, and Jacoby. That's cool. I like that. I wonder about Grady sometimes with how he connects with the Raptors and how he's getting along with everything. But you know what? The more I thought about it, Grady's a competitor. Grady's a team guy. Grady is the kind of guy that is on the down low, like a really good teammate and fun to be around. But also at the same time, Grady is really being careful with his NBA image. He's trying to not like get too many things put on it, tagged on him for any different ways other than things about him on the court. So he's not really making waves. Like one of the things I thought would happen with Grady since he became an NBA player was we'd see way more TikTok from him, but we haven't. He's very been quiet on TikTok. And in some ways, he's being very careful with his image branding for himself. And I think that's smart. But I'm pretty sure that Grady Dick, he is very close to Oshai, and he's very close with Emmanuel. I know that too. But you saying that he's close with Jacoby, I like hearing that. Because in some ways, you could infer that they're kind of in competition for things on this team, Walter and Dick. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. But yeah, I think that, you know, there's a lot of good friendships on the team. And I'm glad to see that Grady has some close ones. He does. Cream saying Davion keeps the ball moving and plays great defense. Teammates engage his energy and also play better defense. Shed does the same thing. Good defense leads to better offense. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you need different roles out there, and you need a balance of offense and defense in your starting lineup. And that's what we've kind of talked about in the last few minutes. You want to have a good enough defensive side of your starting lineup as well as a good scoring side. And that's why maybe you need to kind of look at player builds of your roster and understand Grady's more an offensive player than a defensive player. Davion's more of a defensive player than an offensive player. And you kind of got to put those jigsaw puzzle pieces together in rotation lineups that make sense to cover the important levels of whatever you need at certain points of the game. Because there's parts of the game where we don't have a good defensive lineup and we get run over by the other team's offense. Then there's other times in the game where we don't have a good enough offensive lineup and we stagnate. We don't score enough. So in some ways, this is something the Raptors coaching staff and front office need to think about when building and putting the rotations out for the team. Is there enough offense provided for us to continue to score to keep up with a high-octane NBA team? Or is this team good enough to hold the other team off with the defensive powers of the five that I have out on the court at that time? Yeah, yeah. Shaq Lindsay's here. Shaq Lindsay hasn't been here in a while. Good to see Shaq Lindsay, member of the channel. I told you about Chris. He should be starting over Dick. You know, I don't know if I would say he should be starting over Grady. I would say Oshai maybe needs to be starting over Grady. Or maybe even the thing we were talking about with Mitchell starting over Grady. But I don't think Chris should be starting over Grady. I think that there's two other guys that maybe should start over Grady. I think Chris is great off the bench, and he could do this production and do this stuff off the bench. It'd be cool to have a little renaissance period of Chris starting if this is going to be near the end of his Raptors career because he's getting traded, and see him get a bunch of starts for us and see what he could do, Shaq Lindsay. I won't disagree with you. But I don't think, once again, getting back to the subject we're talking about right now is balancing your lineups with offense and defense and your bench versus your starters lineups with balance also. Chris is part of the balance that helps the bench be what they are. And in some ways, that's more important than him just starting just for the title is what I'm saying. Yeah. Good to see you, Shaq Lindsay, though. Good to see you, man. Kareem saying Curry is playing his career gracefully. He will retire as a Warrior. He might have the one last hurrah when LeBron decides to do one more joining of forces and takes his game to Golden State. That's been rumored for the last year since the Olympics, but I don't know if it'll actually be feasible financially in like NBA front office reality. That may not be able to happen. Who knows? But maybe it could. Who knows? But yeah, they've talked about it. They would love to do this. I don't know if it'll happen though. Shaq Lindsay saying the team was down at the start and didn't go up until Chris came in with the starters. I don't think that's exactly true. I think that the game started pretty like back and forth. It was always back and forth. They never had a huge lead on us. They never took off on us and took a huge lead. This isn't like some of the recent games. The Raptors were either on top this whole entire game or very much behind by less than 5 points. So I don't think you can say this exactly, Shaq Lindsay, that they were totally down. I think they were playing pretty even ball with the Warriors from the start. Nameless saying, "Si, fratelli, beviamo l'espresso." Yes, l'espresso. For Chris Boucher to get out there and run away and run all day and get up there on the hoop and throw it down, okay? All right, Trevor's giving me the classic card sign. So I see 2 little coffee cups. That's going to be my place to come back to real quick. All right, these are current cards because they're from Christmas. That one's not. Let me make sure I get one of the current cards. Wow, I'm running out of them. We're going through the ones from Christmas pretty quick. All right, here we go. Classic card of the day. First person to write in the full name answer will get the classic card points. So let's see who it is. This one is somebody we've seen recently. This guy is getting criticized for very badly hurting a player on the Pistons. So in some ways. So yeah, who is that? What is the classic card of the day? Let's see who gets it. Who gets it? Yeah, Cole Anthony's right. Stargate gets it. He is the one who gets the points. 100 points for you, Stargate, on the classic card of the day. Let's see. Cole Anthony is the name, and it's Stargate is going to get the card, and it's 100. It's not a super difficult card, so we give you 100 for that one. Awesome. Good stuff, man, Stargate. All right, let me get back to where I was in the chat. Let's see. Shaq saying that Chris is the architect of the small forward we need with the starting lineup, size, and defensive ability. I like that you're putting him at small forward. I've always wanted Chris to play small forward, and his tenure on the Raptors, he's had to play center and power forward mostly. But I've always thought that he naturally slots in at a small forward on the best possible Raptors team if he's involved. You have guys that are bigger than him that fit really well with him, and he's the small forward and just a very active rebounder and three-point shooter and doing what he does. Yeah, I won't disagree with that part about him being – that would be great if we could do that. But I don't know if necessarily – like I said, we need the balance of having him off the bench, I think. Yeah. Name was saying, "Bebo l'espresso con poco de sambuca." Try that, Chris. He's saying get a little sambuca in your espresso. Is that what you're saying, Nameless? Crazy. Shaq Lindsay saying, "If I was Messiah, I wouldn't ask for nothing less than a first for Chris or sign him next year." I like this. I can get behind you on this, Shaq Lindsay. Totally. I would love that. I would love that. I mean, listen, you be a hardliner. This guy's value is so high up. Ask for a first if you really want him. But if that ain't going to happen, well, we'll have him come back around because we love him and he fits with us. It's perfectly good ideas. I like that, Shaq Lindsay. Stargate saying Grady is such a good pull-up mid-range jump shooter. Maybe he should try to use that a bit more in the development stage. Jacoby is a good pull-up mid-range jump shooter also. I think that most of the stuff that's been stymieing Grady since the beginning of the year, like when he was gangbusters, amazing at the beginning of the year, he was a little bit less scouted and less keyed on. And it really is that. is that there's a lot of the scouting report out on Grady has caught up to him and how to kind of stop him from getting some of those mid-range jump shots. Some of it is coming at him from other angles and him not like being ready, or there's just a lot of defensive hedging and like half doubles coming at him, kind of not allowing him open space. So there's a lot of it has to do with how defenses are scheming for him, that his mid range has been taken away from him recently. That's part of it right now. Now, Jacoby is not scouted as well. And in some ways, he can operate in those areas, but he'll get scouted at some point and have to go through the same kind of learning curve as Grady. Yeah. G saying, Shed was also fantastic. Love the reps he got guarding Steph at times. Great for development. Yeah, I'm telling you, pinch me. You're playing a legend. And a lot of those guys get that feel from that. And beating him, that's a high. That's a very, very nice feeling. Yeah. Shaq Lindsay saying, Chris is the type of vet you need. Doesn't matter how many minutes he plays. He's always ready. Yeah. Completely agree with you on that. Completely. Yeah. Kareem saying LaMelo Ball runs the most at 2.8 miles a game. Shit, Curry isn't even in the top 10. My point is Father Time never fails. He just needs to find his shot differently to prolong his career into his 50s. Oh, man, that's funny. Yeah, well, this is part of what happens with older players. They can't move all around so much, so they have to get really smart with the expenditure of their energy and how they put it out on the court. You know, Kyle Lowry is not doing the same things that Kyle Lowry did in our championship year right now. He's got to limit his gas tank for bursts in certain areas and certain times, and he can't just be all crazy, running around all over the place like a young rookie who has just boundless energy going all over the place. That's part of it. That's part of the change with veterans as they get older, is they got to slow down a little bit, but play more cerebral and very like calculating. And that's it right there. That's it right there. And LaMelo, I can believe that he has the most in the league. Is 2.8 miles a game. Wow. Shaq Lindsay saying, which makes me scratch my head. Why did we sign Kelly for 2 years at $13 million? Because they're different players and different roles, and you're going to have a whole roster. So, you know, Kelly's valuable. I know he doesn't seem like he's as valuable as Chris is right now, and that's probably true. But Kelly is valuable to be on this team. Trust me. A team that doesn't have any size, we need Kelly around. Yeah. Mo's saying W stream, W vibes, go Raptors for life. Keep that always, Lex, and the Raptor Free Cruise strong forever. Let's keep climbing. All right, let me go ahead and do the box score for the 905, the victory, a close victory, 4-point win, and it was close in the man. The Raptors 905 turned it on in the third quarter with 40 points and 30 in the fourth. And yeah, they had a chance to lose. The Blue had a chance to win. The one guy went to the free throw line. He missed a couple free throws that could have really helped the Blue. And man, the Raptors 905 were not totally clean in closing out this game. They were making mistakes too, but they lived to win another day and got the win, a 4-point win in the end. My 5 stars of the game for this one, I haven't even done them. AJ Lawson is my number 1 star. He started the game with the first basket, and he was excellent all the way through. 37 minutes, 11 of 21 from the field, 2 of 6 from 3, 1 of 2 from free throw, 9 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 turnover, 26 points for AJ Lawson, leading the 905 to victory in Oklahoma City last night. Fantastic stuff from the kid from Toronto. The second star of the game was Kennedy Chandler. Kennedy Chandler had a great game off the bench, pretty efficient, 9 of 15 from the field, 3 of 3 from 3, which is great. He misses only free throw, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 3 no turnovers actually, 3 assists, no turnovers, a +1 with 21 points. Kennedy Chandler. He was playing a lot more effectively. In fact, the journey of Chandler and Brown this season for 905 is they're getting better as team players. In the beginning, they were so selfish, and now they're actually molding and fitting in with everybody else a little bit better. And part of it is that they come off the bench now, that in some ways that has been helpful for them. Charlie Brown, the 3rd star. These are 2 guys I've been kicking all year long for different things. And, well, I'm giving them stars of the game for their contributions in the team win last night, especially with the other guys away. There's no Jonathan, no Jameson, no Eugene, all away with the other team, and they did a good job. Not the full Raptors complement for the 905. Charlie Brown, 23 minutes, 5 of 10 from the field, 2 of 6 from 3, 2 of 4 at the free throw line, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals, 1 block, 3 turnovers, a +17 though. Charlie Brown had one of the highest plus minuses on the court, second to Shamshay. 15 points for Charlie Brown. He was just a good bucket at different times. He did miss a key throw late, which was annoying. But Charlie Brown, good job. You're playing much more efficient and effective for the Raptors 905 to help them win. And I appreciate you for that. You had some weird stat lines this year. Some of them very good, but in a weird losing way, even though they were good. And now you're starting to do good stat lines along with the team winning. So good job, Charlie Brown. You're showing improvement as the season goes on. I'm telling you. Quincy Guerriere is my 4th star in this win over the Oklahoma City Blue. Guerriere started 32 minutes, 5 of 8 from the field, 2 of 3 from 3, 3 turnovers, 16 points, a double-double for Quincy. Quincy's had a slump recently, so it was really good to see Quincy finally score some points and get going. And a double-double is a great way to do it. Fantastic stuff. The 3rd star is a guy who was very key at the end of the game and made a couple of baskets in the lane, little short floaters with traffic around him, but was money on both of them, and they were absolutely essential baskets to keep us ahead at the end of the game over Oklahoma City Blue, and that's Evan Gilliard II. Evan Gilliard started the game, which is interesting because he has not started many games when other people are available, like Chandler. He has not started over Chandler very much this year. 5 for 10 for Evan in 26 minutes, 2 for 4 from 3, 3 of 3 at the free throw line, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 block, 1 and sealing the game. Other guys a note, Frank Kaminsky, 12 points, 13 assists. Frank had 13 assists, but he shot really bad, 3 of 11, and he had 3 turnovers and it was a -10. But he got a double-double, 12 points, 13 assists. So Kaminsky was the hub. Tyreek Key starting 32 minutes, 3 of 4 from the field, 2 of 3 from 3, 2 of 3 from the free throw line, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 11 points for Tyreek. A little bit better than what he's been doing lately, but nothing near the scorching hot Tyreek Key at the very beginning of G League season. Very, very scorching that. Shamshay, pretty good game. He had a pretty good game. He was the highest plus minus, plus 18, 23 minutes for Prince Shamshay, 2 of 5 from the field, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, 4 blocks once again. Shamshay had some very impressive blocks in the game last night, very dominating, and he is a force, and he's going to be growing into his weight and his stature more and more in the years to come, and he's going to be a force in the NBA. I can already tell. He did score 4 points in 23 minutes. Tyler Perry, 13 minutes of cardio, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, and 0 points, a plus 13 nonetheless. So, yeah, that's basically the 905 with a 9-man rotation last night, nice and tight. And on the other side of note, Ousmane Dieng, 29 points for them as the big man shooting threes a lot and getting 8 assists also. He was their best player on the other side as far as things. Not a lot of good players it wasn't the Blues' best players either. Like Carlson wasn't there to play for them. And, I could tell that this was kind of like the bottom of the barrel or Oklahoma City Blue that was playing the game last night. So, yeah. Also, I'll do a little bit of the team stats real quick on how they won. The 905 shot better than the Blue, 49% to 46%. We got less threes than them, but we did shoot a better percentage from 3. We made 1 more free throw than them with the same amount of free throw attempts. We got 1 more rebound than them. We lost the assist battle. Let's see, turnovers, we had 1 less than them. So a lot of the stats were very, very close. It was a close game, but it wasn't because the 905 were kind of winning the whole entire game, and the Blue were kind of playing catch-up the whole time. But it did end up being kind of close in the end. 52 points in the paint for the Raptors 905 in the game last night, too. G saying, apparently Adonis's mom has a strict sleep schedule and during the school week, so he leaves early. That's probably what it is. That may have been just me thinking, oh, they're playing his songs, so he's embarrassed and he has to leave. Okay, that probably is right, that Adonis has a strict sleep schedule, and he can't even stay for the whole game. Like, he must have to go to bed by 9 or something. He must have to go to bed by 9 because he got to get in the car and get home and get in his jammies. So, yeah, okay, that makes sense, G, what you're saying. Thank you for the information. I don't want to speculate. And something was weird. It was like, why is Adonis just there for the first quarter and then he's gone? Oh, he does have bedtime. It makes total sense. I mean, he is a kid. He's a kid. Name was saying, yep, it's the same reason why I used to add a couple extra inches to my dating profile. What you're talking about? Oh, yeah, I get what you're talking about. Yeah. As far as like, yeah, you make yourself taller so that girls may match you more on Tinder. Is that what you're saying, Nameless? Yeah. It's like the NBA and how they treat the heights. Stargate saying when Steph came in, it was Monte Ellis that was the face of the team at the time, and then he got traded to the Bucks, and Steph took over. That's right. That's right. At the time, it was murky. There was a point guard kind of a battle, and Monte was very much established and a very good scorer at that time. But the future was already apparent, and Ellis had to be shipped out to help the development of young Steph Curry at that time. I remember that. Tristan saying incredible, incredible. Yeah, let's see. Kareem saying Sid Sixero, or however you say his name, tweeted that 12 LA sports teams donated $8 million to the wildfires. That's actually disgusting. The math ain't mathin'. What a selfish world we live in. Yeah, I don't even want to think about all that kind of stuff. It depresses me. There's a lot of things happening in the world right now that absolutely will get me depressed if I talk about them. I may have talked about this kind of stuff extensively on this channel at this point before, but I don't know if I want to do it anymore. I could really go on some political rants about the things in the wildfires that are going on out there, but I don't want to. In some ways, I want to just kind of gloss over it on surface and not get into deep details of what Lex thinks about the wildfires. Because in some ways, I don't want to go to dark places anymore. I want to stay as positive as we can. In some ways, me talking less about politics is partly that, is what I'm going to say right now. But yeah, in some ways, there's a lot of people that are in trouble out there right now, and there needs to be a lot of aid. And there is a lot of people coming to their aid and doing things. Like I've even heard that Ukraine, who's in the middle of a war, is sending firefighters from their country to help. And they're in the middle of a crazy emergency situation they've been in for a few years now. And they're willing to send some of their firefighters to help when they're getting bombed by drones by Russia right now. I mean, so there is some crazy, selfless, benevolent actions out there, even in a weird, dark, twisted world that's changing right now. Yeah, Smooth saying Blue Jays officially names one of the three. Blue Jays are officially named as one of the three finalists for Rocky Sasaki. Dodgers, Padres, and Blue Jays. We've been in this game before. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. A great Asian baseball player who's going to choose between three teams, and we're going to do this. Really, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I've been burned by this before. I don't want to do this, man. As we say, Rocky was in Toronto last week touring the facilities. He's expected to make his decision the next week. Just as long as he's not in a plane somewhere getting tracked. I don't want to hear about this. Carlos saying, I'm ready for the heartache again with Sasaki. See, you already got Carlo. You're getting him all primed and ready for more heartache of a free agent choosing another team over us. You gave us a short list of 3. And the Dodgers are on there. Oh, we're screwed. We're screwed. We're screwed. It's the Dodgers. It's the Dodgers. Yeah. Yeah. And Smooth saying, I fear this is another Ohtani situation all over. Yeah, that's what I've just been joking for sure. Let's see. Mo saying, Randy definitely working hard on Open Gym. Deeply misses Raptors tonight. Caught up with him a few last night. Oh, cool. So you were talking to Randy Urban last night. He misses doing Raptors tonight. Yeah, this is a tough season for them to do it. I hope that it does come back. And it's just a weird 1 year of being down in the bottom of rebuild and that it does come back. The format is awesome. It's something that is dearly missed by Raptors fans, Raptors organization. If you're listening right now, we do like Randy Urban and Raptors Tonight. And the fact that you guys go over there and do that in that environment over there next door is fantastic because fans can come out of the game afterwards and sometimes actually go and meet some of the broadcasters. So I don't know. I hope they get it back too, Mo. And I'm glad to hear that Randy's keep busy with the Open Gym work, though, as far as things. Smooth saying, imagine 2 years in a row losing a generational talent to the Dodgers. Yeah, let's not do this. You guys, I'm not Blue Jays freak, and in some ways, none of this stuff matters to me at a deep level in some ways. And in some ways, I don't want to be involved in like this kind of thing if it's going to be another Ohtani kind of affair. I'll just pass, guys. You guys go ahead and do this Rocky thing on your own, and I don't need to be involved in it. The Ohtani thing broke my heart, and I'm not even that in-depthly watching the Blue Jays or caring about everything like that. So in some ways, like we got to remember that. That Lex is like, I'm not investing any emotion in this. All right. Y'all can. I'm not going to. All right. Let's see. Kareem saying, Smooth, don't get your hopes up. Blue Jays always in the middle of something and it never pans out. Sometimes I feel like the Blue Jays are used as just a team name to be involved in things just to spruce things up. You know, at times they've had Masai's name bandied around in certain things. Like they'll use Masai's name as, oh, he came and scouted this person, just to kind of help bring up like the perception. It's like, oh, but Masai was here. Is the Raptors actually very interested? No, but Masai's a name, and Masai will give you some status saying that, oh, Masai's scouting you. So I don't know. Is that something in this? Because it seems like the Jays are always involved, and it'll be like the Yankees or the Dodgers that are involved too. And we're just the juxtaposition of the team that's in there. Or just baseball sports writers just using the Blue Jays as the default team to add into these kind of things to just make us feel bad, like we're missing out on big free agents all the time. And this is just part of the plot of like making everybody feel like Canadian teams and American sports leagues just don't have a chance in free agency. I don't know. Maybe you're reading into that too much. I don't know. Smooth saying, okay, this is too much baseball, Smooth. Just so you know, this is too much baseball. Mets, Yankees, and Cubs, Giants, Mariners, D-backs all advised that he is not interested in them. Okay, so at least he's picking Toronto as one of the 3 destinations. Okay, I like that. I guess the Blue Jays aren't that bad of a destination. If a guy who can choose a lot of different teams is saying no to those teams, but yes to us. Okay. He did not personally visit those cities. That's right. Trevor J saying that the Lakers retired Michael Cooper as number 21 last night. That's fantastic. In some ways it's weird how everybody's circling around and doing things for Michael Cooper this year. I mean, Michael Cooper retired so long ago. But this happens sometimes. Players that are big players on big championship dynasties, like Michael Cooper on the Showtime Lakers, Magic and James and other people are going to get their shine. And they get like their jersey retired by the Lakers early, right away when they retire. But somebody like Cooper may have to wait. And he did. He got his jersey retired finally last night after how many decades? It makes me a little worried about Michael's health. That maybe some people are worried about him passing away soon and they want to give him his flowers before that happens. So I wish all the best blessings and health and things for Michael Cooper and his family. He's an amazing NBA legend, a low-key legend. But it's interesting, that phenomena of how the very top level stars on dynasties get the accolades right away. But the bit players that they come around later, like Michael Cooper just got inducted to the Naismith Hall of Fame also this year. So he's in the Hall of Fame and his jersey retired now in 2025. And when did he play in the NBA? He played in the 80s, like 40 years ago. So this is a long time coming for him. And kudos to him. I'm very happy for him. He's totally deserving. Down low, Larry Bird said that Michael Cooper was the hardest person that guarded him in his history of his career. That he was the one that did the best job, and that he actually was the one guy that he did not look forward to matching up against. Larry Bird said that about Cooper. So that means he's somebody good. Yeah. So we're saying he's ready for the heartbreak. Heading for a heartbreak. No, I'm singing Winger this morning. Oh, that's bad, man. I'm headed for the heartbreak. Oh, no. Don't sing Winger. She's only 17. That's a horrible song, Kip Winger. Why did you write that? Man? That's horrible. Stargate's got my cutoff. All right. Carlos saying we can start the barbecue dick, but as the game progresses in crunch time, we can put a defensive lineup in. I want a strong backup to Scotty. Maybe that can be Mobo next year. Yeah. Maybe it could be Shamshay next year. Yeah. I mean, we'll have to see. Stargate saying Igor plays for BYU, not Duke, Lex. Are you sure about that? Who's the kid who plays for Duke with it's Cooper and Malak that play on there. It's BYU. Okay, the colors that get me mixed up. Okay, thanks for correcting me, Stargate. I'm going to give you a dunk for correcting me. I think it's the jerseys that got me mixed up. And also the fact that Flag and Malak are Duke. So I was thinking, either way, I'm not a college fan, so I don't do well with this stuff. Let's see. Stargate, you're going to get the dunk. 12. You're at 12 now on there for that. Let's see. Blackhawk saying Michael Cooper was done dirty by the league, so retirement is a small acknowledgement. Do better, NBA. Yeah. I mean, it's weird how like I said, this is such a delay on him getting the accolades, but that really is kind of the thing. Is like, okay, you're a role player on a championship team. You're not a superstar. And this is kind of, but you're a great role player on a great dynasty. And we want to recognize you. It's crazy. Worthy, he gets his acclaim. I bet you Byron Scott got some acclaim before this. It's weird how this happens. Slug DZ saying, fact, I found this stream watching Town Clink video last year. Hope he continues making Raptors content. Yeah, I wonder about Greg. In some ways, I know Greg is a super busy person because of his business and his catering business and the cooking that he does. And then obviously also he's a parent. He has kids and he has a lot of childcare in his hours of his life too. So getting everything together and doing the Raptor stuff too, it's probably a lot with everything on his schedule. And I'll bet because this season's not that good, this is part of the reason why Greg's kind of on hiatus right now. That he has a lot more going on with his personal life, and putting the time into doing stuff on YouTube is a lot. And I know, and yeah, I appreciate you coming to my channel through Greg's channel, and I do wish Greg very, very well. And it's, I mean, I want more great Raptors content, people that are enthusiastic and passionate and creative like Greg doing stuff. And when people aren't doing as much, it makes me sad, honestly, especially when they're mostly doing very positive Raptors content, which Greg does for sure. Yeah. Randolph saying, Lex, as one who believes in God, he expects us all to strive towards perfection. And that's because he knows it's possible. Pursuing perfection makes us be our best. I know, and maybe that we're just in different angles of perspective on this. I can get what you're saying is that, I would argue this, Randolph. God has never made a mistake in his life, and that all of us are created perfect in our as we are. Think about it that way. Even with our imperfections, the imperfections are part of the perfection. It's all how you want to look at it. It's seriously, because, in society, we have a really weird concept called perfection. Like being perfect. In basketball, it can be measured by stats. Oh, he was perfect. He made every single shot he attempted. But in real life, it's how do you set that standard? And for each individual person in their mind, they have an idea of what it is. And some of it's not healthy. Some of it is not healthy. Some people that are perfectionists are absolutely miserable. And that may be the counterpoint I'm trying to make with your comment. In some ways, I get it. You're talking about devout belief and worship of Jesus Christ and God, that he believes that, you can strive to perfection, and it's because he knows it's possible. But also at the same time, some people have an idea of what perfection is, and it's unhealthy and it's destructive to themselves. So that's kind of where I'm at. When the God creates the trees, the plants, the animals, the insects, they may have flaws in them, but they are supposed to. That there's something about being imperfectly perfect. I don't know. It's just semantics. We're dancing around the same stuff, not exactly the same perspective. And I totally agree with you if you want to say that for your own belief. But to me, when I think about perfection, I feel like it's something that if somebody is a true perfectionist, they can never attain, and that they live in misery their whole entire lives because they will never, ever be absolutely perfect. That's the thing. But it's a different idea. It's like, can you accept being imperfect and perfection? Because if you can do that, maybe that is considered perfect. Do you understand what I'm saying? Maybe it's a little too confusing and weird and stupid. Either way, I love you, Randolph, and I appreciate this discussion. In some ways, we do get into theology a bit here. And I do appreciate that influence from you guys when you guys come in here. I really do appreciate it. Yeah. I guess some of it is my background in AA, that we're told that, man, you can't just try and be perfect because you're going to have flaws. You're going to screw up. Just try and have progress. And that may be why I'm basing my opinion on my reaction to your comment earlier. Blackhawk saying Lakers want to MC as Flowers because NBA blackballed MC for supporting Palestine during his prime. Wow, I didn't know that part of it. I do know that there was something with Michael Cooper that was weird as far as like, why isn't he more involved in different things with the NBA? I know he was a WNBA coach for a long time, and he did different things and stuff, but I didn't realize on the down low he was blackballed from the league for supporting Palestine. Well, Kyrie better watch out. There's this is something crazy. Like, all right, I'm going to do a little bit of a political thing right now because this is something that I'm finding out recently. That part of the reason why the U.S. government wants to ban TikTok is because Zionists want to ban TikTok because it's actually spreading the truth about the genocide in Gaza more effectively than any other social media platform. That on there, the stories and the way it's documenting the genocide in the war in Gaza is not favorable to like the public image of Israel and what they're doing with their very, very disgusting war crimes that they're doing right now. And that's part of it, that there's Zionist pressure on the U.S. government to ban TikTok because TikTok is a very effective mode of communicating the reality and the truth of what's happening on the ground in that horrible, horrible, disgusting, barbaric conflict that's going on over there, where they're just decimating a population of people. And that's interesting to me right there. Anyway, I don't even remember why I said that. Oh, because you brought up Palestine just now. Yeah. All right. I guess that's at the end of my chat. Let me go see what else I need to do in there. Yeah, Kyrie and Jaylen Brown. Maybe that's why Jaylen Brown isn't as promoted as Jason Tatum right there. All right. Fantastic game for the Raptors last night against the Warriors. Really nice to be on the winning side of things. Really, really nice. The Raptors did a great job shooting better than the Warriors last night. They got 4 less threes, but they shot better from 3. The free throws, there were actually more free throws given to the Golden State Warriors than the Raptors. The ref crew was pretty good last night. How did you guys feel about it? The Warriors fans were complaining after the game that the refs were on our side, so that's a good sign. I didn't see them piss me off too much. I noticed that Sheree was talking to RJ a lot during the game, and RJ was really, really politicking and pleading his case. And at a certain point, she actually hooked him up with some free throws. So there was some interesting conversations between referee Mitchell and RJ Barrett. Schroeder was a pretty good ref, and Zach Zarba's just doing Zach Zarba stuff, running a tight ship there. I also want to commend Darko for holding off on using the challenge. He could have used the challenge a couple times in the first half last night, and he would have maybe a couple weeks ago, but he's holding off. And maybe he's heard some of the criticism from people like me and Jack Armstrong about wasting the challenge early in the game on stupid shit. And he's held off on using it. He's not using the challenges early or quickly as he did before. That's for sure. So I'm happy about that. But yeah, the refs were favoring us a bit last night. And you know, we got a home court advantage with the refs a bit. And I'm happy about that. We deserve that. That happens to us on the road. And it's part of the reason why our road record's so bad. Well, we should get a little bit of a bump at home from the referees at our home court. Seriously, they out-rebounded us just barely. It's kind of weird they out-rebounded us, considering we had Jakob and Scotty out there kind of being the big boys on the court. We got 28 assists, which was fantastic. They did get more steals and blocks than us, which is weird. Let's see. Turnovers, even, 15-15. Fast break points, we got +1 on them there. And this is a big, huge stat. And this is probably the factor with Scotty and Jakob right here. We doubled them up in points in the paint. We had 50 points in the paint, and they had 26. And that's a huge, huge reason why we beat the Warriors last night in the box score right there. Yeah, huge, huge reason why. Who was the stars of the game for 9-5? I'll go through all that right now, really quick on a fast break wrap-up. Stars of the game for the Raptors game: Chris Boucher, Jakob Poeltl, Scotty Barnes, Ochai Agbaji, and Jamal Shed. Star of the game for the Raptors 905 in Oklahoma City: AJ Lawson, #1 star for the second game in a row, and it's 2 wins in a row. Kennedy Chandler, second star. Charlie Brown, #3. Quincy Guerriere, #4. And Evan Gilliard, the second, is the 5th star for the 905. Fantastic win there. I did the Instagram stories. I've talked about the Tempo Tempo clothing line that came out today. And let's see. There's no birthday today, guys. Sorry about that. And that's it. Yeah, that's the end of the chat here. We're at 2:47. So just shy of Alexathon 3 hours. So yeah, tomorrow we're going to play the Celtics. I'll have everything ready for the game, refs and lineup stuff. And yeah, fantastic stuff. It's really nice to get a win. I like seeing Darko's system a little more cleanly with a less resistance from a team that's not as good. I like seeing us being bigger than the other team and doing some bully stuff, getting more points in the paint. I really love the continued development of Scotty, trying to be more of a superstar and taking over and meeting the matchup of the versus the other side and the stars on the other side. I love the stuff with him and Dennis. I love the stuff with him and Steph. You know, and yeah, just really fun stuff. Davion Mitchell, welcome back to starting lineup. And Chris Boucher, wow, what a birthday week you had this week. What a birthday week. The best stretch of games by a bench player in the NBA this whole entire year was Chris Boucher in the last 4 games. Absolute best. That's what Blake Murphy's saying on Blue Skies too. All right, y'all, let's go Raptors. I hope you guys have a great Monday or Tuesday. I guess it's Tuesday now. And I'll see you guys tomorrow on Wednesday morning for a Boston Celtics preview with the Celtics coming to Toronto to play against us in Scotiabank Arena. Thank you for watching. I really, really do appreciate y'all watching. I understand that I'm more like a niche audience, and sometimes I'm not going to be for everybody. That's okay. I'm going to do it for the people that I am for. All right, y'all have a great day. I love you guys, and Raptorize your day. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, join the channel if you feel like it. It all helps. Let's go Raptors.